Chapter 1330. The sword spirit remembered that back then, Shui Leihan had only set up so many souls of the purple crystal here for the sake of safety. Then, he had even said self-mockingly, if the Lord Saint builds the foundation, will they be used up? Recalling Shui Leihan's self-deprecating laughter back then, the sword spirit shuddered all over. How could the sword spirit not understand what he meant? Even if the Saint Lord builds the foundation, he wouldn't need so many souls of the purple crystal. Because this was the heavens of the lower planes, and he was only testing the foundation with the bodies of ordinary people. However, after Chu Yang had absorbed all the purple crystals, purple crystal cores, purple crystal jade essence and souls of the purple crystal here, he still wanted more. In other words, he was still lacking a lot. The moment he thought of this, the sword spirit felt dizzy and disoriented. He hurriedly went forward. Lord Swordmaster, you must remember that it's best not to tell anyone about how many purple crystals you've absorbed here. Keep it strictly confidential. Chu Yang frowned. What's the matter? That will only lead to a fatal disaster for you. Sword spirit took a deep breath and said, moreover, it will be a never-ending fatal disaster that won't stop until you're dead. Even the entire Chongtian continent will vanish into thin air because of you. Chu Yang was startled. So serious? It's even more serious than that. The sword spirit's expression was very serious, letting Chu Yang know that he was definitely not joking. He was describing a fact that was absolutely true. Chu Yang's heart quickly settled down. He said dispassionately, "Are you afraid that someone will be jealous of you?" More than that. The sword spirit smiled bitterly. But this kind of thing really couldn't be explained clearly in such a short time. When there's time in the future, I will explain it to you in detail. But, you'd better not tell the emperor either. Not even Shui Leihan. Chu Yang found this interesting. The sword spirit was cultivated by Shui Leihan. And now, he was showing signs of betrayal because of him? If you tell him, even the emperor may be implicated and die because of you, said the sword spirit worriedly. His words almost made Chu Yang's nose crooked. I thought you were worried about me. You're really thinking too much. Of course I'm worried about you, the sword spirit said cautiously. This kind of demeanor was something that had never appeared on him before. But Chu Yang didn't care. He also didn't know that the sword spirit's heart was shouting madly at this moment. Could it be that the sword master I'm following is actually going to be much stronger than the holy sage in the future? I'm so blessed. Doesn't that mean I might be able to reach the same height as the emperor in the future? Right at this moment, Chu Yang suddenly felt a surge of warm energy gushing out from the primordial real silk in his dantian and into his meridians. Wherever it passed, all the meridians immediately changed. First, it became tougher. Then, it became purple and lustrous. Then, it slowly expanded. Wherever the warm power went, the meridians there would clearly undergo such changes. In an instant, it had already circled around Chu Yang's entire body. Chu Yang's meridians also underwent a qualitative change at this moment. But this wasn't the end. A similar surge of warm energy actually emerged from his dantian and expanded his meridians again. It seemed that there was a miscalculation the previous time and the force was too small. It deliberately made up for it again. The sword spirit pursed his lips and smiled. He knew what was going on. Chu Yang had eaten that golden blood ginseng before he laid his foundation for the low-level martial way. It was only at this moment that all its effects were developed to the maximum. And this force neglected this matter for the first time. As a result, it didn't use enough force. Then, a tsunami-like force gushed out from the primordial real silk and entered Chu Yang's meridians. Everything before was in preparation for this moment. This was the real benefit of the Tribulation Sword Master after he obtained the Tribulation Sword Fragment. This was also the power of the Tribulation Sword Master at the heavenly layer. Chu Yang felt as if he had fallen into a pot of boiling oil. His entire body started to heat up. The heat, pressure and expanding force at this moment almost made him moan. But at the same time, he also felt that his cultivation was rapidly increasing at the speed that he could feel. After he came out of that 1,000-mile tunnel in the northwest, Chu Yang had only just advanced to the beginner's second-grade sword supremacy. But now, the moment this force appeared, his cultivation had already broken through the beginner level and was steadily advancing toward the next level. It was like the gentle waves of the ocean. It didn't seem very powerful, but one mustn't forget that behind these gentle waves, there was still an entire ocean supporting it. Everywhere it passed, it was bound to destroy everything in its path. Chu Yang endured all the pain in his body and carefully felt the feeling of this upgrade. Compared to the previous advancements, this time was completely different. Second-grade sword supremacy was reached in the blink of an eye. Then, those gentle waves didn't stop. They continued to surge forward at a constant speed, straight toward the high level and then the peak level. An hour later, Chu Yang's entire body shook violently. He let out a muffled groan and 2 lines of blood flowed out of his nostrils. The bottleneck of third-grade sword supremacy had been completely destroyed by that gentle wave in the most domineering way. The force rushed into the brand new meridians. It first changed and then widened. Then, it continued to surge, breaking through the beginner third grade and then the next level. When it reached the peak of third-grade sword supremacy, this force finally stopped advancing. It wasn't that it was unable to continue, but it had to leave some time for Chu Yang to experience the third-grade sword supremacy. So this is the Heaven Divine technique. Chu Yang took a deep breath. Until now, he had finally realized and admitted that this set of techniques that he had always thought to be ordinary and had never used before was really the #1 technique in the heavenly layer. No, it should be said that it was the #1 technique in the Heaven Imperial Court. He became a third-grade sword supremacy just like that. Chu Yang didn't feel that it was real. He looked at his hands carefully, a little excited. But he didn't know that at the same time that he became a third-grade sword supremacy and that the force was slowly receding, all of a sudden, the entire heavenly layer underwent an unbelievable change. Under everyone's astonishment, the originally clear and boundless sky suddenly surged with wind and clouds. Such a phenomenon occurred in the upper 3 heavens, the lower 3 heavens and the upper 3 heavens at the same time. Endless black clouds suddenly emerged from all directions, as tall as mountains. They swarmed, clustered and squeezed together. With lightning speed, they gathered in the sky and rushed toward the sky at the same time. All of this had happened without a sound or warning. But everyone who saw it clearly seemed to hear the ancient war drums and the roar of the thunder god. The gathering dark clouds covered the sky and covered the earth. Those were clearly the troops of the demon gods invading and devouring the continent. They were fighting. They were fighting. Slowly, pieces of the clear sky were assimilated and turned into ink. There seemed to be endless blood pouring and flowing in it. Then, it condensed and turned black, becoming an ink-like color. Countless lives were struggling, trembling, howling, unwilling to be devoured. Everyone felt an oppressive pressure. They only felt that their souls were trembling and wailing in despair. When the last piece of the clear sky was covered by the dark clouds, everyone had a feeling that they had completely lost all hope. It's over. The whole world was plunged into darkness. They couldn't even see their own fingers. But everyone knew that the dark clouds in the sky didn't stop. The dark clouds were still gathering and pressing down. The feeling that the world was going to be destroyed weighed heavily on everyone's hearts. What was going on? Was the continent going to be destroyed? But no one dared to move. Because it was all dark now, and they couldn't see anything at all. No one knew what they would touch if they moved. Some people were so scared that they didn't dare to move. They couldn't move anymore. Both their legs were trembling. The might of the heavens was endless. This endless darkness and deathly stillness lasted for a full quarter of an hour. Just when everyone was in despair and thought that the world would be plunged into darkness and the heaven-level continent would no longer exist, suddenly, a ray of golden light appeared in the sky. The sudden appearance of this ray of golden light attracted the attention of everyone in the world. The golden light was very small, and it was only a very thin ray. But now, in the entire world, there was only this ray of light. No other ray of light could be seen. The sudden appearance of this ray of light in the eternal darkness caused countless people to shed tears. Following that, The golden light suddenly changed and turned into a sword in the next moment. It expanded 100 million times in the wind and appeared in the world. Its entire body shone with golden light. It was 10,000 zhang long and 10,000 zhang wide. It was majestic and unexcelled in the world. At this moment, this sword used its own light to illuminate the entire heaven-level continent. Then, the sword suddenly moved. It was as if an invisible giant had raised the sword with one hand and slashed down at the mountain like dark clouds in the sky. This sword was ferocious and domineering. Everywhere it passed, there was a flash of lightning, splitting apart the haze and revealing a sliver of light. A gap was revealed in the dark clouds. Following that, this sword continued to slash and stab without stopping. It slashed up and down, left and right, and slashed down. It was as if a single person was facing the sky full of gods and demons, fighting alone. On the heaven-level continent, countless people raised their heads to watch. It was as silent as a dead zone. It was as if countless ordinary people were watching a hero fight. The golden sword shone, and the dark clouds were broken into pieces. They slowly retreated from the center of the sky and went back to where they came from, disappearing without a trace. The sky regained its azure blue color once again. That sword stood in the sky, unexcelled in the world. From the silent heaven-level continent, there was a sudden uproar of cheers. Everyone was jumping for joy. The golden sword flashed in the sky and disappeared. At the same time, in the passageways of the heaven-level continent's upper and lower three heavens. Chapter 1331. At the moment when the sky was as dark as ink. In the upper three heavens, Mo Tianji and his brothers were gathered together. The world suddenly darkened. In the strange darkness, Mo Tianji's voice slowly sounded. "It's here." Luo Kadi asked in a daze, "What's here?" Mo Tianji didn't answer. He only said, "Have you hidden your families?" Gu Duxing, Ao Xiun and the rest said at the same time, "Yes. We've been waiting for this day." GMO and Xie Danqiong also nodded. Luo Kadi finally understood and hurriedly nodded. The Dong clan has also been arranged. Mo Le'er's father, the Black Demon, is with the Mo clan. Mo Tianji took a deep breath and said softly, "Brothers, the most difficult moment in our lives, and also the moment that can determine our future, has arrived." The brothers didn't say anything. Their eyes were shining in the darkness. The phenomenon in the sky is the appearance of the Calamity Sword fragment. The appearance of the fragment means the opening of the heavens. Today is the day we rush up to the upper three heavens. Mo Tianji's voice slowly drifted in the darkness. "I want to know how your preparations are going." Mo Tianji said softly. Gu Duxing said, "I'm a sword supremacy now, second grade peak." Ao Shiyun said, "Second grade peak." Xie Danqiong said, "Me too." GMO and Luo Kadi said, "Me too." Mo Tianji smiled. "I'm only first grade peak. I'm much weaker than you guys." Everyone laughed at the same time. "Your strength doesn't lie in your cultivation. First grade peak is enough." GMO smiled. "Tianji, even if you don't have any strength and need someone to feed you, you're still very, very strong." Mo Tianji sighed helplessly. He was speechless. Every time he faced GMO and Luo Kadi, Mo Tianji would be at a loss. These two treasures seemed to have the ability to make people not know whether to laugh or cry at any time. "I don't have any strength and need someone to feed me? Even if I need someone to feed me, I need someone to feed me? What nonsense is this?" Mo Tianji really wanted to kick him in the face. Holding back his anger, Mo Tianji said, "My current strength is still not enough." "So," GMO interrupted, "who cares if it's enough or not? Just charge forward, regardless of life or death." Mo Tianji flew into a rage. "Get out!" Before he finished speaking, the sound of a beating could be heard. It was Gu Duxing, Ao Shiyun, and the others who couldn't stand the words of this bastard GMO and attacked him at the same time. Then, a furious voice filled with strong grievance and pain was heard. GMO said so. "Why did you hit me? Do you think I'm easy to bully?" It was Luo Kadi. It turned out that GMO knew that he would definitely be beaten. Taking advantage of the pitch-black darkness, he silently arrived behind Luo Kadi and spoke. After saying that, he immediately left. Gu Duxing and the others followed the sound and made their move. Luo Kadi was upright and straightforward. He didn't have time to identify who it was before he turned into a pig's head. Stop messing around. Mo Tianji had an extreme headache. These bastards. He was completely speechless. Listen to me. Mo Tianji shouted in a low voice. He was furious. Immediately, everyone quieted down. Mo Tianji had conquered all his brothers with his incomparably astute and clear-headed mind in the past year or so. At this moment, once he was angry, everyone immediately became obedient. Only Luo Kadi muttered in a low voice, "Did I get beaten up for nothing?" But his voice was also so low that it was almost inaudible. Mo Tianji ignored him. "Now, let me tell you how we should go up." GMO muttered in a low voice, "How else can we go up? Isn't it just walking up from the passageway? Do we have to lie down and be carried up like boss? Or crawl up?" At first, he was muttering, but then he suddenly laughed. I remember what Luo Kadi always says, "I'll blow you up into the sky with a fart." Do we have to be blown up with a fart by a little wolf? Spare me. Before he finished speaking, GMO once again tasted the consequences of his cheap mouth. This time, everyone was dead serious. The 5 of them attacked at the same time, especially Luo Kadi, who used the most strength. Even Mo Tianji stepped in and kicked this guy twice. Finally, he became obedient. While GMO was moaning, golden light suddenly shone in the sky. A huge golden sword illuminated the sky and earth for thousands of miles. Then, that sword started to slash powerfully, dispersing the dark clouds in the sky. The brothers forgot to mess around. They all looked up at the sky in a daze, their eyes full of pride. Boss's sword. Then, there was a tremor from the sky to the ground. A message was transmitted to everyone's hearts. There was no need for words or transmission. Everyone knew that the passage to the heavens had opened. It's opened. Mo Tianji's face became stern. Now, let's talk about serious matters. Everyone immediately straightened up. Same old thing, the problem is how to go up. GMO said just now, it's nothing more than walking up through the passage. But, how do we go up? How do we go up without being suspected? Mo Tianji's sharp eyes swept across everyone. Boss said it very clearly the last time he came back. There are many experts in the upper 3 heavens. With our current strength, 2nd grade supreme martial artist sounds very impressive. In the upper 3 heavens, we can be considered kings. But in the upper 3 heavens, it's nothing. When the sword appears, the heavens will open and the tribulation will be born, killing our way up to the heavens. Not only do we know, but everyone in the big clans also knows. Once our identities are exposed, we'll die without a burial ground. GMO said just now, how do we go up? Then let me ask you now, how do you plan to go up? Mo Tianji asked angrily, according to your thinking, we'll go up and be beheaded. GMO shrunk his neck and said carefully, actually, I'm just a fart. Everyone wanted to laugh. But they didn't dare to laugh and held it in. So, once the passage to the heavens opens, there will definitely be people from the big clans guarding it. We have to go up. We can't do it silently. But we have to go up, and we have to use these passages to go up. Mo Tianji said, so, we have to come up with a strict plan now. We can't rush, we can't. We have to listen to orders. If we mess up at any step, all of us will die. As he said that, he gave GMO and Luo Kadi a warning look. GMO and Luo Kadi raised their pig-like heads and promised, we won't cause any trouble. If we cause trouble, we'll be bastards. We'll listen to your orders. We'll do whatever you say. They said in unison and they even rhymed. Mo Tianji sighed helplessly, thinking that he would have to stay with these 2 treasures for thousands of years. Even Mo Tianji had the urge to bang his head against the wall. Next, let's come up with a plan. Mo Tianji's voice lowered, we need to, like this, on a piece of ice and snow wasteland. A figure, dressed in black with long hair, he stood on the flat ground. But his aura and demeanor made it seem like he was standing in the heavens, looking down at the world below. A sturdy and graceful figure was nestled beside him. Both of them raised their heads slightly and looked at the sky above. It was the clear sky and bright sun that had just been rescued from the darkness. The passage to the heavens is open. The man in black's hair covered half of his face. I'm going back. Danfeng, do you want to come with me or stay here? These two people. They were Tan Tan and Xie Danfeng. At this moment, Tan Tan still had a youthful and frivolous aura. There was also a remnant of his past temperament in his demeanor. But overall, his entire demeanor had changed completely. Originally, he was comical, lively. But now, he was much calmer and more sinister. There was also a hint of domineering aura that was faintly discernible, but always surrounded him at all times. Xie Danfeng said softly, I'm your wife. Naturally, I have to follow you. People often say that if you marry a chicken, you have to follow the chicken. If you marry a dog, you have to follow the dog. Since I'm married to you, how can I leave your side? Tan Tan smiled. That's right. If you're not by my side, I'm really worried that I'll turn into a monster when I really merge. Xie Danfeng smiled gently and hugged his arm tightly. Full of trust, she said, You won't turn into a monster. After a pause, she said, I'll follow you even if you turn into a monster. I'll let you turn back. Tan Tan smiled happily. Only this smile showed that his nature hadn't changed. It was still the original Tan Tan. He said, I've finished absorbing all the Divine Clan aura in the past 3 days. All the Divine Clan energy that can help me improve is already in my body. He raised his head and looked at the sky. He said slowly, I'm already a second-grade supreme martial artist now. I wonder how Chuyang is? What grade will he be? Xie Danfeng smiled. You'll understand when you see him. Tan Tan laughed. Let's go. Let's go up. Xie Danfeng said, Do you want to prepare? At this moment, the big clans must have control of the entrance. Tan Tan mischievously smiled. Them? They're just eggs in front of me. He laughed heartily as he held Xie Danfeng's waist. Then, the two of them floated in the air with a whoosh sound. Then, they disappeared without a trace in a flash. Only an invisible lightning could be seen in the sky. It broke the seal of space and formed a temporary black hole. Then, it wreaked havoc towards the entrance of the passage, Law Enforcement City. The Dharma Supreme stood at the highest point in his black robe. He looked at the clear sky and was deep in thought. The heavens have opened after all. The Tribulation Sword Master has finally obtained the Tribulation Sword Fragment. Could this be fate? Can it really not be reversed? The Dharma Supreme murmured to himself. Dharma Supreme, the law enforcement officers in the Northwest sent a message saying that they can't contact any of the law enforcement branch in the Northwest. All the law enforcement officers who hid their identities and infiltrated the Li clan have also disappeared. There's no news about them. The 4 law enforcement officers returned and reported that the master of the interrogation hall, Lang Ilang, was attacked and framed by the Li clan in the Northwest and died an unnatural death. Dharma Supreme, please make a decision. There's such a thing. The Dharma Supreme was furious. To be continued. Chapter 1332. A black shadow appeared beside him and said, Yes. Currently, the Li clan is in charge of the entire Northwest region. All the affiliated clans have been mobilized and are as secure as an iron bucket. They are on guard all around, allowing entry but not exit. They have used fresh blood to draw a demarcation line, saying that anyone who crosses this line will die. The Dharma Supreme's long hair swayed without wind. How dare you? The black shadow's voice was as calm as water, flat and straightforward. According to my guess, the law enforcement branch we sent in the Northwest region has probably been uprooted. Those who entered the Li clan have probably been wiped out as well. Master Lang Ilang pursued the extraterrestrial demon's accomplices into the Northwest region but was mercilessly killed by the Li clan. There is no doubt about this. The Dharma Supreme nodded slowly. The black shadow continued, and according to my analysis, there must be a reason why the Li clan suddenly became so powerful. The Dharma Supreme said, Oh? The black shadow said, Lord Dharma Supreme, the Li clan had been tolerating and compromising previously. But this time, they suddenly became so powerful that it was a complete mess and baffling. But today, this subordinate suddenly understood. The Dharma Supreme said without any change in his expression, "You mean, yes. It's about the Tribulation Sword Master." The Li clan suddenly became powerful. And after the Li clan suddenly made their move, the Tribulation Sword Master actually coincidentally obtained the fragment of the Tribulation Sword Master and opened the passageway to the heavens, beginning the true path of conquest for the Tribulation Sword Master. You mean, the Li clan already knew about it a few months in advance? The Dharma Supreme's gaze was far away. Exactly. The Black Shadow smiled lightly. Other than this reason, I really don't know what other reason could make the Li clan act so crazily against the 8 super clans and law enforcement officers at the same time. The Dharma Supreme took a few steps and frowned. He said, "I remember that you didn't believe that Li Xiongtu was one of the tribulations." The Black Shadow was a little embarrassed. His monotonous voice finally changed. He said, "This? I really didn't dare to believe that the tribulations would be exposed so easily." But the Li clan's action this time was obviously to be the vanguard for the Tribulation Sword Master. If I can't figure it out, then I can only kill myself. The Dharma Supreme pondered for a moment and said, "I still have some doubts. I have always felt that Li Xiongtu is not the tribulations. However, since things have already come to this point, whether he is tribulation or not, the Li clan must be destroyed." The Black Shadow said in a deep voice, "Yes, if it's not tribulation, then it's perverse and heinous to cause such chaos. If it's tribulation, I'll kill him and sever the great crisis of tribulation's reunion." Exactly. The Dharma Supreme nodded indifferently. He then asked, "How are the 8 great clans?" The Black Shadow said, "The 8 great clans have already dispatched their secret forces to the northwest. He had once sent a letter to us, the enforcers, to assist in eliminating the Li clan. Apart from the fact that the Chun clan had offended Wu Jueqing along the way and had 40 to 50 of their men killed. As for the other great clans, their strength is still intact." After a pause, he added, "The Lan clan is slightly weaker." The Dharma Supreme nodded. Then he thought for a while and suddenly gave an order. "Pass down my order. All law enforcement officers in the world, take action immediately. Head Hall, Hunting Hall, and Dark Hall, take action immediately." 1/3 of the Hall of Elders was mobilized. Together with the 8 great clans, they could gather all their strength. Destroy the Li clan first. Go. Hold on. The Dharma Supreme muttered to himself, his expression somewhat complicated. "The person I asked you to pay attention to?" The Black Shadow paused. "So you mean Diwu Qingru?" "That's right." The Dharma Supreme said, "Send a message to the Zhuge clan. Let Diwu Qingru rush to the law enforcement hall at night. Then, Diwu Qingru will be in charge of this encirclement." The Black Shadow was shocked. "Diwu Qingru will be in charge." The Dharma Supreme waved his hand. "Do it immediately." His voice was resolute and unquestionable. Although the Black Shadow was full of doubts, he could only accept the order and leave. "Diwu's bloodline. If it can be revived, it's all up to you." The Dharma Supreme's black hair fluttered as he looked at the sky and muttered to himself. At the same time in the Yi clan, Yi Qinshan came out of the ice heart room where Yi Zue was locked up. After Yi Zue returned, Yi Qinshan locked him up here and checked him bit by bit. Finally, to his horror, he discovered that this great-great-great-grandson of his was really cultivating a kind of evil martial art. Moreover, he had already started to transform his demonic body. This discovery left Yi Qinshan almost at his wit's end. He had no choice but to lock Yi Zue in the ice heart room, hoping that the power of ice and the righteous energy of heaven and earth would be able to eliminate the demonic aura for him. Although he knew that it was unlikely, Yi Qinshan really couldn't bear to cripple Yi Zue right now. Among the younger generation of the Yi clan, Yi Shifeng was already dead. Yi Xiu left a letter and went out to search for some medicine. He even said clearly that if he couldn't find it, he would never return. The others were basically all killed by Yi Zue. If he killed Yi Zue, the Grand Duke, the Yi clan would be in a very awkward position. Yi Qinshan sighed, unable to make up his mind. Then he saw a strange phenomenon in the sky. Yi Qinshan's expression changed drastically. After a long time, he returned to the ancestral hall and sat quietly for 2 hours. Had the Yi clan come to an end so quickly? Then, Yi Zue walked out, only leaving behind a sentence. I'm going out for a while to take a look at the Shao clan. Then, with his 2 old brothers, the 3 of them left together. Purple Crystal Cave. 3rd grade Supreme Martial Artist. Sword Supremacy. Chu Yang chuckled. If I see Yi Zue now, even if he's a 4th grade Supreme Martial Artist, I'll be able to thrash him. The Sword Spirit chuckled. Congratulations, Lord Sword Master. The path of conquering the heavens begins today. Now, all the passageways in the entire heavens have been opened. Chu Yang was startled. They've been opened? The Sword Spirit nodded affirmatively. Then I'll have to leave this place quickly and rush to the lower 3 heavens to take a look. Chu Yang said, although Ning Tianya has gone. I'll still be worried if I don't see it with my own eyes. The Sword Spirit nodded with a smile. Okay. Chu Yang stepped out. But right at this moment he suddenly stopped in his tracks. Then his whole body trembled. The Sword Spirit was stunned. Chu Yang was also baffled. Just a moment ago he had wanted to go out, but suddenly a force had attacked him and stopped him in his tracks. The force was so great that he almost couldn't stand stably. Furthermore, this surge of power also carried a sense of urgency. What's going on? Chu Yang looked at the Sword Spirit and asked in puzzlement. Huh? The Sword Spirit was perplexed. What's the problem? Chu Yang scratched his head in puzzlement. He turned around and saw that the ground was full of purple crystal powder. There was also nothing unusual on the stone walls. He stepped out again and the same thing happened again. It held him back tightly. Chu Yang frowned and searched carefully. But he didn't find anything. Lord here. The Sword Spirit suddenly pointed to the bottom of the cave and said, to be continued. Chapter 1333. Chu Yang turned around and saw that the bottom of the cave was where the misty flower used to be. At this moment, the flower was gone, but there was a round plate. It was as flat as a mirror. Originally, it was just sitting there quietly. But just as Chu Yang was about to leave, it suddenly emitted a faint glow. Chu Yang was startled and walked over with big strides. The Sword Spirit was a little disdainful. It's in this cave. It can't run away. Tilt your head and you'll see it. It's only 4 or 5 steps. This guy actually walked over with big strides. The Sword Spirit was a little speechless. It's okay for you to show off outside, but there are no outsiders here. What's the use of showing off in front of me? If Chu Yang knew what the Sword Spirit was thinking, he would definitely be so angry that he would fire the Sword Spirit immediately. Damn it. I'm not showing off. It's just that there's a huge attraction over there. When it sees that I'm going there, it can't wait to suck me over. If I don't take big strides, I'll be sucked dry the next moment. I'm also helpless. As Chu Yang walked over, the round plate shone even brighter, as if it was excited. And it was getting bigger and bigger. By the time Chu Yang went over, the round plate was already the size of a big table, lying flat on the ground. Chu Yang looked down and really didn't understand why such a plate stopped him. He couldn't help but ask, "What's the matter?" The Sword Spirit behind him almost laughed. Even if you're talking to a chicken, it's at least a living thing. But you're actually talking to a plate. But the next moment, the Sword Spirit was suddenly stunned. He saw that Pan stood up, with a whoosh sound, and stood in front of Chu Yang. The light on the plate flashed, as if it had heard Chu Yang's question. It was greeting Chu Yang. Chu Yang's scalp suddenly exploded. Damn it, this is the first time I've encountered such a supernatural event. He braced himself and asked, "Can you understand what I'm saying?" The light on the plate flickered, brightening and dimming. Chu Yang rubbed his nose. He felt that what he was doing was very boring. It seems that this plate can only shine, but it can't communicate with me. Just as he was thinking about this, the plate suddenly flashed and became a little bigger. Then, to Chu Yang's disbelief, all of a sudden, the surface of the plate trembled violently, and a wave of dense ripples passed by. 3 blood-red words suddenly appeared on the plate. Who are you? Chu Yang was startled by this peculiar phenomenon. It was also for this problem. How should he answer this question? Am I human? I'm a man? Or, am I Chu Yang? I'm the master of Calamity Sword? None of the aspects seem to have anything to do with this game, right? Chu Yang rubbed his nose. He couldn't make up his mind for a moment. He was a little conflicted. A few more words appeared on the plate. Do you know the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace? Chu Yang's eyes suddenly widened. Purple Heavenly Palace. Purple Firmament Heavenly Emperor. Zihao. Chu Yang suddenly felt deep veneration for him. That peerless hero who fought against the extraterrestrial demons and didn't forget to leave his last words until his death. Junior, please don't forget to battle the heavenly demons in the outer realm. Could it be that this plate was actually related to the Purple Firmament Heavenly Emperor? Chu Yang stood there in a daze. He felt as if the blood in his body was boiling. At this moment, there were words on the plate again, but they were repeating the same two sentences. Who are you? Do you know the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace? Who are you? Do you know the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace? The two sentences on top. It was this wooden expression that appeared over and over again. Chu Yang took a deep breath and his consciousness entered the tribulation space. As soon as he entered, he was shocked. The 10 holy crystals and the divine crystal formed a huge circle in the tribulation space. They floated in the air and emitted a purple divine light. When they saw Chu Yang enter, the 10 holy crystals and the divine crystals suddenly floated in front of him. Chu Yang looked at them in a daze and murmured, "As expected, there is a relationship between the two of you." At this moment, the plate behind Chu Yang seemed to have sensed something. Suddenly, it swelled up with a whoosh sound and supported the entire cave with its indomitable spirit. Slowly, it turned into something like a door. A purple light flashed and lines of blood-red words appeared on the surface. First, a line of explanation appeared. When the extraterrestrial demons enter the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace, they can only fight to the death. Millions of brothers, after years of bloody battles, pledge to go to war today. Firstly, it is for the brothers to finally reunite. Secondly, it is to encourage the brothers to kill more enemies. However, we will definitely die this time. Those who pledge to be our masters here are all men of iron. When the future generations learn of this, they must leave their names for us, so that my brother's illustrious name will not be buried forever. Purple Heaven Emperor, Zihao, kowtows and begs. Chu Yang was shocked. This place actually recorded the pledging scene of the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace's final expedition. Moreover, Zihao, with his incomparably noble status as the Purple Heaven Emperor, actually said the words kowtows and begs. What kind of weight was this? In the end, the plate did not show that magnificent and tragic scene. Only after that, lines of words left by different people appeared. Purple Heaven Imperial Palace, Purple Heaven Imperial Palace. I am the first to slaughter the extraterrestrial demons. Sun Tue, who is greedy for life and afraid of death, fought bloody battles. Protector of the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace, Leng Yu, the pledging battle. Chu Yang thought of a sentence. Seventh brother Leng Yu fought against the extraterrestrial demons and was killed. Chu Yang's blood boiled as he praised, "Good man." Sun Tue, who is greedy for life and afraid of death, fought bloody battles. Good. Fighting the extraterrestrial demons outside the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace, accompanied by millions of brothers, but with this body on the hot soil, who cares about what the future says? Purple Heaven Guardian, Han Chang, pledged to be our master. He remembered Zihao saying, Brother Han Chang was trapped in the Heavenly Wolf Pass alone and fought until there was only one soldier left. He exploded and died. Chu Yang was shocked. This Sir Han Chang died a heroic death, but from these few words, he was also a free and easy person. Today, we will fight with our demonic souls. Don't let me down. If I don't die this time, I will return and slaughter Saint Monarchs. Saint Monarch Shong, fuck you. Purple Heaven Guardian, Han Chang, pledged to be our master. This Sir Han Chang was really cute. He had a straightforward personality and was extremely daring. If I don't die this time, I will return and slaughter Saint Monarchs. And that extremely rude scolding made one unable to hold back their laughter. Chu Yang also felt a deep sense of sorrow. If this Saint Monarch was willing to send troops to assist the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace, would the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace have fallen? With so many heroes, why would they have to die? My name is Bai Luo. I am going to Bai Luo. If there is a next life, I will fight the extraterrestrial demons again. Purple Heaven Guardian, pledge to be our master. Cultivate my battle saber and slay the extraterrestrial demons. I will not turn back. Whoever dares to humiliate the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace, I will not let go of the enmity for life. Purple Heaven Guardian, pledge to be our master. Chu Yang sighed. Unexpectedly, Zihao's words came to mind. Second brother Xuegu will guard the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace. I will turn into blood. This Sir Xuegu must be an absolutely responsible person, and he loved the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace deeply. Even though he pledged to be our master, he also issued a warning. Who dares to humiliate the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace? I will not let go of the enmity for life. And his final duty was to guard the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace. He would die in battle to protect the millions of Purple Heaven Imperial Palace's people. A free and unfettered genius, a saber, a sword, and a flute. After this death, can you dream of the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace? Purple Heaven Guardian, pledge to be our master. Lord Saint, if we die in battle, please send troops to the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace after we die in battle. Lord Saint, fuck you. I can't fuck all the women in your family in this life, but I will continue in my next life. Invincible Purple Heaven Imperial Palace. Long live the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace. If we die, we die. What's there to talk about? I don't think I will die. I heard that there is a plague over at the extraterrestrial demons. Who is protecting the Purple Heaven Imperial Palace? My heart is really cold. It's good that you are dead. Out of sight, out of mind. Hundreds of billions of Heaven Imperial Palace people, are all of you dead? Even if I die of old age, I am still a master. Better than those who drag out an ignoble existence. I hate the Lord Saint. I will fuck his mother in my next life. The Lord Saint's mother died long ago. I heard that he still has a daughter. You bunch of trash. This is a pledge ceremony. Don't talk about such useless things. If you can come back alive, then we will go together. Following Lord Ziha my whole life, even if I die in battle, it will not be in vain. The words above are really good. They actually said, not in vain. TSK. I didn't say anything. I will just say, fuck the extraterrestrial demons to death. I will add another sentence, and the Lord Saint. I heard that Lord Snow's troops were blocked. I only hate that I am not a Lord Saint. Next generation, brother. I have nothing to say. My parents, relatives, wife, and children are all gone. I will just say this one last sentence to you. Fight, fight, fight. Only death. Brothers, everyone is dead. Don't forget to form a team with souls. I am scared alone. Dream on. If you die here, what bird's soul will you have? It would be better if birds have souls. The information above became faster and faster. It started to be like a waterfall. Chu Yang looked at the words one by one. Sometimes he clenched his teeth, sometimes he smiled silently. These were such good men, such adorable soldiers. Most of these people spoke rudely and directly. Some were even unsightly. But these were heroes that deserved respect. They laughed at life and death and faced strong enemies. Even their last words had their own merits. Some were carefree, some were angry, some were funny. Just from this short sentence, one could completely infer each person's temperament. But they all had the same goal and died for the same goal, to fight the extraterrestrial demons. There was a lot of information, but it was also very fast. After a long time, it finally returned to normal. Like flipping a page of a book, the door made the action of flipping a page and disappeared without a trace, revealing a huge round plate below. There were 100 holes on the round plate. There were 10 small ones surrounding a big one. The bottomless, dense purple gas began to flicker. Chu Yang looked at it and suddenly felt a little familiar. When he looked at the positions of the 10 holy crystals and 1 divine crystal in the tribulation space, he suddenly realized. The holes on the plate corresponded to the positions of the holy crystals and the divine crystals. My writing speed today is very slow. My whole body is light and I feel dizzy. And I wrote a big foreshadowing of the future plot. It is also the foreshadowing of the book's biggest climax. This is the 3rd chapter. I am afraid I can't finish the 10 chapters today. I have overestimated my physical strength. I will continue to write. I will write as much as I can. I will make up for what I owe next month. But it will not be double the amount. Please understand. And G, to be continued. Chapter 1334. Purple light flickered and around the 100 holes, 20 words appeared. Each of them was vigorous and powerful. Accept my purple cloud tower and fulfill my wish back then. Always remember, exterminate the extraterrestrial demons. Chu Yang was stunned. Purple cloud tower? What was that? Suddenly, his heart shook violently and he thought of a possibility. This purple cloud tower? Couldn't be this pagoda mountain? For a moment, his mouth suddenly went dry. The words flickered as if they were urging him to hurry up. Chu Yang said quietly and sincerely, I, Chu Yang, swear to the souls of thousands of predecessors that I will exterminate the extraterrestrial demons. With a wave of his hand, the holy crystals and divine crystals eagerly left the tribulation space and appeared above the round plate. Purple light instantly shone brightly. The next moment, with a whoosh, the divine crystals and the holy crystals flew out at the same time. As if they had been away from home for tens of thousands of years, they cheered and jumped into their mother's arms. They flew onto the round plate and took their places. Everything was done in an orderly manner. It was completely seamless. In an instant, the 100 holes above were all blocked up. With a flash, the holy crystals and divine crystals disappeared into the holes. Then, the round plate slowly shrank and spun slowly. It spun to the side of Chu Yang's wrist and rubbed against it gently. Chu Yang's wrist was immediately cut open. The round plate spun and suddenly revealed a sense of sadness and reluctance, as if it was silently bidding farewell to its original owner. Then, it moved closer to the fresh blood on Chu Yang's wrist. The fresh blood quickly dyed the edges of the round plate red. Then, the round plate suddenly flew up. The wound on Chu Yang's wrist was completely healed and became smooth again. The round plate spun slowly and landed gently in Chu Yang's palm. Chu Yang said softly, "You don't have to worry. I will treat you well. Besides, I will also fulfill Lord Z's lifelong wish and exterminate the extraterrestrial demons. From now on, you are my partner." The round plate jumped in Chu Yang's palm, as if it was agreeing and rejoicing. Then, it disappeared in Chu Yang's palm. At the moment when the round plate disappeared, the cave wall in front of Chu Yang silently separated into 2 sides, revealing a passage with purple aura. At the entrance of the passage, there were 2 large words written in flamboyant calligraphy. Congratulations. Chu Yang's eyes widened. This was Xue Leihan's handwriting. Chu Yang finally understood. He completely understood. Back then, the heavenly emperor of the purple clouds was definitely related to Xue Leihan. Moreover, this relationship should not be a small matter. And after the death of the purple firmament heavenly emperor, left behind, there was definitely not just 1 legacy in the Northwest, but 2. And this legacy should have been secretly done by Xue Leihan. The reason why the Calamity Sword fragment had such a purple crystal to test the foundation of the Great Tao was because Xue Leihan was looking for a successor for the heavenly emperor of the purple clouds. If the other masters of the Calamity Sword passed the test in other places, they would come here immediately. In the end, this was the standard for the selection. The real selection. The most likely reason why the other masters of the Catastrophe Sword failed was that they were tested here. They couldn't go far, and their great path foundations were too weak. They couldn't bear the inheritance of the purple cloud heavenly emperor. They couldn't meet Xue Leihan's requirements either. On one hand, Xue Leihan was using the Tribulation Sword of that great power to find the Tribulation Sword Master. He was also using this opportunity to find a successor for Heavenly Emperor Purple Firmament. Calamity Sword's initial goal wasn't to reorganize the heavens, but to fight the heavenly demons in the outer realm. Shui Leihan had indeed given a lot of thought to this. There was only one Tribulation Sword Master. In other words, it was his turn. But the first 8 didn't pass, and he was afraid that he wouldn't pass either. So, he might as well let him lead the Tribulation Sword through half of his life and experience all the hardships of the world. He would reverse time and let him be reborn. Because he was already Shui Leihan's only hope as the 9th Tribulation Sword Master. Otherwise, with the Pagoda Mountain right here, even if others couldn't recognize such a treasure, with Shui Leihan's knowledge and cultivation, how could he not feel it? Thinking of this, Chu Yang couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Shui Leihan's painstaking plan could definitely be considered grand and huge, and he had put in a lot of effort. But he still decided that when his cultivation was high enough, he would definitely beat Shui Leihan up. This guy had really caused him too much trouble. Led a wandering life since young, his master's sect was destroyed, and his master died. He would never know his own background. When he was at his lowest point, he arranged for his best lover, and she rejected him even though he clearly wanted to accept her. In the end, she died in his arms, causing him lifelong regret. Then, he was schemed to death by his most intimate brother. In his previous life, it was simply a combination of all the bitter experiences of the past and present. That was why he became the Tribulation Sword Master in this life. But with such an experience, if he didn't take revenge on Shui Leihan, Chu Yang felt that he wasn't fit to be a man at all. That bastard! As for the word, congratulations, carved here by this huge bastard, was it to congratulate him? Or was it to congratulate the Heavenly Emperor of Purple Clouds, Zihao, for finally finding his ideal successor? Chu Yang walked along this purple path, and purple fog filled the entire way. The sword spirit was isolated on the outside. Fluttering, he walked to the end. At the end, there was a huge seal. It was placed neatly in front of him. It was just a seal, but it actually gave off a mighty and solemn feeling. Chu Yang picked it up gently and saw 4 words printed on the place where the seal was originally placed: Eternal Purple Clouds. Then his body shook violently. This seal suddenly turned into a stream of light and penetrated into Chu Yang's body. Before the final battle, store all the remaining resources of Purple Cloud's heavens into the Purple Cloud's pagoda. Not a single drop of the extraterrestrial demons. Those who obtain the inheritance can open it when their cultivation reaches a certain level. Hold my battle sword and charge into the Purple Clouds. Destroy all the extraterrestrial demons and let the Purple Clouds shine again. Chu Yang felt a little dizzy. The next moment, he suddenly felt that there was an additional small pagoda in his tribulation space. It was shining with purple light all over. He tried to enter this pagoda, but he couldn't. In a trance, those 10 holy crystals flew up and danced on this pagoda. The first level glowed faintly. That was where the divine crystals were. The round plate that had already entered his body flew out with a whoosh and turned into 2 large doors, stopping quietly on top. When you can open this pagoda, it will naturally open. A voice rang out, but it only said 1 sentence. Chu Yang shouted, Shui Leihan? Where are you? Come out. But the surroundings were silent. Shui Leihan was nowhere to be seen. Chu Yang immediately understood. This must have been said by Shui Leihan tens of thousands of years ago. It was to remind the person who obtained this pagoda. The sword spirit had already returned to the tribulation space. At this moment, the sword spirit's heart only shock, respect, to this tribulation sword master that he followed. Chu Yang's future would be. The sword spirit didn't dare to think about it anymore. Suddenly, what's wrong with this person? Damn. So big, really shameless. This person must have seen that the sky was dark just now. He simply ran out and wanted to take advantage of us. No way, he can't see who's beautiful and who's ugly when the sky is dark. Who's taking advantage of us? This kind of person doesn't care about beauty or ugliness. As long as it's... Yes. Everyone beat this shameless person, beat him to death. So disgusting. Chu Yang woke up from his daze and immediately felt that his surroundings were in a mess. Following which, there were also some things flying towards his body. He couldn't help but be confused. What was this? When he opened his eyes, he couldn't help but be shocked. In front of him, there was actually a large group of hundreds of people looking at him with strange expressions. There were men and women, old and young. Chu Yang exclaimed and asked, "Who are you people? How could there be so many people in this pagoda mountain, in this purple crystal cave?" Then, he realized that the things flying towards him were actually some stones and tree branches. There were also a few eggs. What was going on? Chu Yang hurriedly dodged. What's going on? There were a few women in the group who seemed to be very shy. As they shouted coquettishly, they covered their eyes with their hands and secretly peeked through the gaps between their fingers. "Pervert! I'm going to kill you to prevent you from violating public decency." A righteous young man came out with his sword and stabbed towards Chu Yang. But Chu Yang clearly saw jealousy and depression in his eyes. "Lecher! Kill him!" Another person shouted. "I've never seen such a shameless person in this world." The one who said this was a woman, her face cold and arrogant. Chu Yang couldn't make head or tail of it. The sword spirit reminded him in the tribulation dimension, the pagoda mountain has already entered the dimension and is gone. You're standing on the main road now. Realization dawned on Chu Yang. But why are they attacking me? The sword spirit smiled mockingly. I don't know either. Chu Yang dodged a sword and a saber and caught 3 stones flying towards him. He caught a few eggs. Then he suddenly realized that something was wrong. It seemed like his body was cold. He looked down. He couldn't help but shout, "I'm not wearing any clothes." But of course, when Chu Yang was undergoing the Great Tao test in the Purple Crystal Cave, the violent spiritual energy had already torn all his clothes into shreds. He had also gotten used to being in the Purple Crystal Cave all this time. Now, he had suddenly collected the entire pagoda mountain, and he himself was baffled as to why he had appeared in broad daylight in this world. It would be strange if he wasn't treated as a freak by others. At this moment, the great and upright Minister Chu was completely naked. He was fighting, dodging, and, on the side of the road, it was actually the forest where he had fought with Yizu. In that instant, Chu Yang was really embarrassed. No wonder it felt so empty down there. I'll dodge. With a leap, Chu Yang covered his face and rushed out. Cough. Chu Yang covered his face. This was the first time in 2 generations. With a whoosh, he disappeared, leaving behind a bunch of baffled people. Where's that person just now? He's gone. Chu Yang rushed into the forest anxiously. He immediately took out a set of black clothes and put them on. Only then did he let out a long breath. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. The next moment, he remembered, this road has always been very secluded. There shouldn't be so many people. What are so many people on the road going to do? Continue to write the 5th update. G. To be continued. Chapter 1335. The heavenly passageway was finally opened. Ning Tianya sighed. He was also shocked by the changes in heaven and earth for a long time before he remembered Chu Yang's instructions. Yes, it would be good to go down and take a look. Swaying his body, he walked slowly toward the entrance of the passageway. It was around here, not far at all. Ning Tianya could overtake it with just a quick movement. When he reached the entrance of the passageway, he saw that there were already people from the Lan clan standing guard. Not far away, there was also a house of the Lan clan. By the looks of it, they had been standing guard here for a long time. Many people were coming out of the house and walking toward the entrance of the passageway. Old man, what are you looking at like a thief? Where are you going? Just as he turned the corner, someone suddenly shouted. Ning Tianya was stunned for a long time before he realized that this old man was referring to himself. He couldn't help but become angry. Do I really look so familiar? I want to go down, all of you get out of the way. Ning Tianya really didn't even have the interest to fight with this small fry in front of him. Go down? You want to go down? The burly man from the Lan clan laughed. You want to go down in the afternoon? You want to go down just because you want to? Who do you think you are? Are you Ning Tianya? Ning Tianya was both angry and amused at once. This guy is really impressive, guessing who I am with just one sentence. Unfortunately, it's sarcastic. Yes, how do you know that I'm Ning Tianya? Ning Tianya asked with a smile. That burly man was stunned for a moment. Then he burst into laughter and said in a strange tone, You're Ning Tianya? Pa. Old Ning, you don't recognize me? I'm Buluchin. The 7 or 8 burly men beside him laughed so hard that they were convulsing. Ning Tianya's face darkened. These few bastards, I simply can't tolerate them. I was half angry at Chu Yang, and now that I'm here, I'm half angry again. And it's these few wretched small fries. In a rage, he shouted, Get lost! An awe-inspiring aura was suddenly released. The next moment, as if they had seen a ghost, these 7 or 8 people suddenly went limp and couldn't move at all. Ning Tianya snorted coldly. Suddenly, he felt that there was really no need for the Lan clan to exist. But then, he felt his murderous intent because of these few small fries. It was really beneath his status. However, a feeling suddenly arose in his heart. If the people of the Lan clan really don't know what's good for them in the lower 3 heavens this time, they will definitely be punished. Then, let's just kill him. He walked in leisurely, passing by 7 or 8 people and entering the passageway. At this moment, in the Lan family's team behind them, he was still several hundred feet away from this place. They watched helplessly as someone who did not belong to the Lan clan entered the passageway. They couldn't help but be greatly surprised. However, when they chased after him, Ning Tianya had already disappeared without a trace. Ning Tianya sped along the passageway. In just a short while, he had already walked through half of the passageway. There was no surprise or joy in his heart, only calmness. At this moment he saw a black line flying towards him from the other side of the tunnel. Ning Tianya was taken aback. The person coming from the other side was very strong. Could it be within these 3 days? There was such an expert? While he was pondering, the person in front of him was getting closer and closer. Only then did Ning Tianya realize. It was a black-robed man who had his arm around the waist of a young girl. He flew over as if he was flying, and in the blink of an eye, he was right in front of Zhang Xian. Then, that black-robed man also let out a neigh. When he noticed Ning Tianya, he actually stopped. From extreme speed to standing still with a person in tow, it was actually as smooth as flowing water. It was incomparably natural. This kind of control also made Ning Tianya exclaim in admiration. The person's long hair was disheveled. His silky hair was draped over his shoulders, but it gave off a strange feeling. Moreover, this person's appearance was also very strange. One of his eyebrows was pointing upwards, straight, while the other was pointing downwards, also straight. One of his eyes was big while the other was small. Moreover, the 2 ears seemed to be somewhat asymmetrical. Ning Tianya only took a glance and already felt that he couldn't bear to look at him. This guy looked too miserable. He was about to brush past him. However, he saw that this person actually reached out and stopped him. Ning Tianya raised his head in surprise. He saw that this person was looking at him, his face suddenly filled with shock. Ning Tianya was even more puzzled. Could it be that he knows me? Then, he heard this person ask in a shocked voice, Old man, am I handsome? Ning Tianya felt a little dizzy at once. Handsome? With your looks, which part of you is even close to handsome? But Ning Tianya also knew that even though this person's strength was weaker than his, it was probably not much weaker. If they were to fight, it would really delay time. And this person didn't seem like a bad person? He smiled and said, Handsome. You're simply too handsome. This old man has lived for so many years, but I've never seen a second person more handsome than you. What? Old man, you have good taste. The black-robed man laughed loudly. Holding the girl beside him, he walked past Ning Tianya and walked forward. It was as if he suddenly stopped just to ask someone if he was handsome. Ning Tianya shook his head and continued to walk forward. Then he heard a voice behind him. Sure enough, the aesthetic standards of the upper 3 heavens are different from those of the lower 3 heavens and the upper 3 heavens. Both the upper three heavens and the lower three heavens say that I'm ugly. Who would have thought that now that I'm in the upper three heavens, I immediately become a handsome man? This voice was actually somewhat complacent. The voice gradually faded away. He heard the girl say, "Well, you're very handsome to begin with. Of course, ha." Finally, it disappeared. Ning Tianya almost fell. He thought to himself that the passage to heaven had finally opened, and the first person to go up was actually a lunatic, and a very powerful one at that. Shaking his head, he flew all the way and disappeared into the passage. Everyone knew that the two people just now were, of course, Tan Tan and Xie Danfeng. Tan Tan was very happy now. He walked forward as if he was floating. He had just entered the passage when he was sure that the old man was stronger than him. There was no need for him to be afraid of him, but he was sure that he was very handsome. This was what made Tan Tan the happiest. Another group of people came in front of him. The group was neat and orderly, entering in a single file. It seemed very organized. It was the large group of people from the Lan clan who had set off for the lower three heavens. These people had been waiting here for more than half a year. After the Grand Duke went down, there was no news until now. The clan was extremely anxious. Especially now that the younger generation of the Lan clan was almost all dead, the clan was even more anxious. A few days ago, there was news of two dukes being killed. The clan gave a strict order. As soon as the passage opened, go down and find the Grand Duke immediately to see how he was doing now. Therefore, as soon as they saw the strange phenomenon in the sky, everyone immediately started to make preparations. After that, they immediately set off. They didn't expect that there was actually someone who was earlier than them. An old man actually went into their clan's passage first. Everyone felt a little uncomfortable. Even if that old man was an expert, it was the same. Therefore, everyone decided to catch up with that old man and teach him a lesson. There were quite a few supreme martial artists in this group of people. They walked halfway through the passage. Then, they saw a man in black coming toward them. He had a strange appearance and was incomparably vile. However, what made everyone feel the most uncomfortable was that this extremely vile-looking guy was actually holding a stunning beauty. This made everyone feel a little unbalanced. Actually, Xie Danfeng's appearance was 1 in 1,000. She was quite good-looking, but she definitely couldn't be considered a peerless beauty. However, now that Xie Danfeng was by Tan Tan's side, with Tan Tan's appearance as a contrast, how was this a peerless beauty? She was practically a fairy. No, even fairies weren't this beautiful. What devastatingly beautiful! What shameful flowers obstructing the moon! All of them were on Xie Danfeng, who was beside Tan Tan. All of them were overshadowed. At this stage, this group of experts didn't have any lustful thoughts anymore. However, now that they saw such a standard case of a fresh flower being inserted into cow dung, they still felt that it was a little wasteful. However, this had nothing to do with them. Even if it was a pity, they could only pretend that they didn't see it. Someone couldn't help but curse. Immediately, someone stopped him. Our mission is to go down to the lower three heavens and see if there's any progress with the Grand Duke. If there's no progress, we'll capture the Tribulation Sword Master's woman. This is a matter of life and death for our Lan clan. We can't create unnecessary problems. As for the passage, there will naturally be people guarding it. Our journey is more important. Seeing that they were about to pass by, everyone pretended not to see and hurried on with their journey gloomily. The two of them were talking through telepathy. By right, others shouldn't be able to hear it. However, Tan Tan's cultivation was several levels higher than theirs, and he also had the secret technique of the divine clan. He heard it clearly and couldn't help but be startled. These people are from the Lan clan? They're going to capture the Tribulation Sword Master's woman? Isn't that Chu Yang's woman? So, you're going to capture my sister-in-law? Thinking of this, how could he hold himself back? He immediately stood still, opened his hands and blocked the passage. Hey, all of you stop! The experts of the Lan clan were startled. You should be laughing if we don't find trouble with you. Now you're actually finding trouble with us? Is there something wrong with your head? Holding back their anger, they asked, What's wrong? Tan Tan raised his head, raised his chin and asked, "Do you think I'm handsome?" The supreme martial artist from the Lan clan felt dizzy. He said angrily, "What does it have to do with me whether you're handsome or not? Get out of the way." Tan Tan said stubbornly, "No, you tell me first, am I handsome or not?" Immediately, two people laughed out loud. One of them said mockingly, "What a bastard. He looks like dog shit and actually has the face to ask others if he's handsome or not." Instantly, there was a burst of laughter. Tan Tan's face darkened. He said angrily, "You said I look like dog shit? Are you sure you're talking about me?" That person said, "I don't know whether you look like dog shit or not, but I see a pile of dog shit in my eyes asking others if he's handsome or not." Before he finished, Tan Tan roared furiously, "How dare you call me dog shit?" He stretched out his hand and grabbed. His arms suddenly extended infinitely. He grabbed the man's head and pulled him over. Pa! He slapped him on the face. Then he slapped him again. He slapped him on the face more than 10 times. He asked, "Am I handsome or not?" He was using this as a pretext to make a fuss. Now, he was even more merciless. After more than a dozen slaps, that person's head had turned into tofu pudding. He was already dead. How could he answer his question? But Tan Tan didn't let it go. He said furiously, "You actually didn't answer my question." He grabbed another person and asked fiercely, "Am I handsome or not?" Looks like it's 5 chapters. Yes, the remaining 5 chapters will be added in the second half of January. After midnight, I'll post a single chapter and go to sleep. I don't know if I can wake up tomorrow. So, I don't dare to say if there will be an update. Tomorrow is New Year's Day. I wish everyone a happy New Year's Day. I'll explain next month's update plan in a single chapter. I'll ask you in advance here, I want to rest. What do you think? And gee, to be continued. Chapter 1336. Everyone from the Lan clan was stunned. The one who was slapped to death was a genuine mid-grade martial saint. Just like that, he was killed by a few slaps from this hideously ugly person? What kind of martial art was that arm suddenly lengthened just now? It was unheard of and unseen before. An ordinary supreme martial artist could only use his aura to seal the space with a wave of his hand and condense his aura into a physical object to form a huge palm and slap down. But that was after all illusory. But this person had clearly extended his arms several times longer, and it could be clearly seen that his arm had become as thin as a chopstick. But with a grab, a mid-grade martial saint expert couldn't even resist and was directly pulled over. And the 7 to 8 supreme martial artists beside him didn't even have time to react. Then the other side started slapping. It must be mentioned that during this period of time, the few supreme martial artists wanted to save him. But every time the other party's palm flashed, it didn't seem like a slap but a move. A killer move. Every time he waved his hand, the 7 to 8 supreme martial artists would feel that the other party was attacking them. As long as they rushed forward, they would expose their biggest weakness to the enemy and be at his mercy. Therefore, no one dared to rush forward for a moment. Then, Tan Tan had already killed one of them. Then, he grabbed another one and asked in a fiendish manner, "Am I handsome?" The crowd still couldn't see how he did it. They only felt that when he reached out, another mid-grade supreme martial artist was caught in his hand without any resistance. Everyone gasped at the same time. This person was definitely an expert, and an expert that they couldn't afford to offend. But all the supreme martial artists in the heavens had records in the Lan clan, but there was no information about this person. Who exactly was this person? The face of the leading supreme martial artist twitched. Taking a deep breath, he forced a smile on his face and said, "Sir, this is a misunderstanding. We've never met before and are just passers-by. I hope that on account of being a fellow martial artist." Tan Tan gave him a sideways glance and said, "Shut up. I'm asking a question. Are you blind? Are you deaf? Are you insensible? Don't you know that it's best not to interrupt when others are talking?" The supreme martial artist in the lead only felt a fire burning from the bottom of his feet to his brain. Aren't you going too far? Even Xie Dan Feng felt that Tan Tan had gone overboard today. She couldn't help but pull Tan Tan's sleeve. What he meant was, they didn't provoke us. You've already killed one of them. Don't make any more trouble. Tan Tan transmitted his voice. It's not that I want to cause trouble. These people have gone down to capture Chu Yang's wife. Xie Dan Feng was gobsmacked. She suddenly understood the reason why Tan Tan was so domineering. Others might not know the relationship between Tan Tan and Chu Yang, but how could Xie Dan Feng not know? These people wanted to capture Chu Yang's wife. But they just happened to run into Tan Tan. If Tan Tan was willing to let them pass, that would be truly inconceivable. Your Excellency, in the Jianghu, you must know that the mountains don't move and the rivers do. Leave a way out for yourself so that we can meet again in the future. The leading supreme martial artist gritted his teeth and said with a glare. Tan Tan ignored him and continued to ask the person in his hand, I'm asking you a question. Answer quickly. Am I handsome? That person was so angry that he was about to curse out loud. He would rather die than submit. But he saw the leading supreme martial artist giving him a desperate look. Obey him first and save your life. Deal with this murderous god first. Gritting his teeth, he raised his head to look at Tan Tan's face. Swallowing his anger, he went against his conscience and said, Handsome. You're really too handsome. Tan Tan flew into a rage. How can you say such unconscionable words? You actually take me for a fool. What's the point of living for such a heartless person like you? With a snap, his neck was twisted and broken. That person died with a pair of eyes wide open and slowly fell to the ground. He didn't expect that he would be killed after going against his conscience to praise him for being handsome. The leading supreme martial artist of the Lan clan was instantly enraged. He shouted furiously, Your Excellency, what exactly do you want? I can't scold you, nor can I praise you. Do you really want to be enemies with the Lan clan? Tan Tan raised his left eyebrow and raised his right eyebrow. His left eye slanted and his right eye glared. He raised his chin and said, You really have no reason to speak. What do you mean by being enemies with the Lan clan? I made friends with the Lan clan out of goodwill and asked if I was handsome. But the first person scolded me sincerely. If I don't kill him, should I keep him alive? The first person scolded you, so it's understandable for you to be angry. But what about the second person? The supreme martial artist of the Lan clan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Although the second person praised me, he didn't mean it. He must be scolding me in his heart too. If I don't kill such a dishonest person, should I keep him alive? Tan Tan said rudely. The supreme martial artist of the Lan clan was so angry that he was trembling all over. He gritted his teeth and said, You are too much. Tan Tan snorted. He reached out again and caught another one. This time, he caught a first-grade supreme martial artist. He grinned evilly and said, Tell me honestly, am I handsome? This supreme martial artist had been fully focused on his defense. He didn't expect that the moment the other party reached out, he would be caught. In that instant, his soul left his body and his heart was in turmoil. Tell me honestly? Does it even need to be said? Just look at you, who is neither human nor ghost. How can you be considered handsome at all? But what if I scold you? With a bitter face, he said, Sir, do you want me to say that you are handsome? Or do you want me to say that you are ugly? Tan Tan angrily said, Speak with your conscience. Don't tell me that you don't have a conscience. But I'll tell you honestly, you are actually really not handsome. This supreme martial artist braced himself and said with an honest attitude. Tan Tan's face changed instantly. As if he was about to cry, he shouted, You are lying. What you said is a lie. If I am not handsome, then who else in this world can be called handsome? What is the reason for you to slander me like this? With a sudden shout, he raised his hand and smashed the head of this honest first-grade supreme martial artist into smithereens. The people of the Lan clan looked at this scene with grief and indignation. Tears welled up in their eyes at once. It looked like they were about to charge at him. But the next moment, Tan Tan was so angry that he couldn't take it anymore. He said furiously, All of you are lying. All of you are making trouble without reason. All of you are cruel and unscrupulous, all of you are extremely vicious. Lying through your teeth, is there still justice in this world? In an instant, the muscles on the faces of the dozens of people opposite him twitched and their eyes turned red. These words should be said by us. Tan Tan shouted, "Say, if I don't kill all of you, is there still justice in this world?" Everyone's eyes turned red. Is there still justice in this world? Why did we have to meet such a crazy, hand over your lives? You bunch of despicable people. Tan Tan roared like thunder. He rushed over with grief and indignation. You are too shameless. I will destroy you on behalf of justice. The experts of the Lan clan were so angry that they were tongue-tied. They had seen unreasonable people before, but they had never seen such an unreasonable person. First, you blocked the way, then you captured people, then you killed people. When you were praised, you killed people. When you were scolded, you killed people too. Even their own people asked, "What do I have to say to make you satisfied?" You wanted people to speak the truth, but when they spoke the truth, you were instantly enraged. Not only did you kill people, you even wanted to kill all of them. Justice? For the word justice to come out of your mouth, it is really a waste of this word. But, in the blink of an eye, Tan Tan had already rushed into the crowd. He raised his hand and said, "You fake king." Bang. You actually dare to bully me. With a bang, the two of them flew out. Xie Danfeng was speechless. Who was the one bullying who? Don't bully me, I am very weak. Tan Tan roared. His long hair fluttered as he charged in. In just a few words, more than 10 people had already fallen on the ground. Go! Fight to the death! The leading supreme martial artist of the Lan clan was full of grief and indignation. Kill this crazy person. However, everyone knew that they were definitely no match for this madman. Tan Tan was like a tiger in a flock of sheep. When the enemies surrounded him, he roared, "How dare you say that I am not handsome?" Suddenly, there was a roar. A ball of blazing flame appeared on the left side of his body, but the right side of his body suddenly became cold and frosty. With a wave of his left hand, a ball of fire rolled out. A person on the left couldn't dodge in time. When his palm came into contact with it, his whole body was instantly set on fire. With a scream, he turned into a pile of charcoal. With a wave of his right hand, a martial saint expert on the right was turned into a popsicle. With a kick from Tan Tan, he shattered into pieces of ice on the ground. The leading supreme martial artist of the Lan clan was shocked. You are from the Divine Clan. Who are you to the Divine Clan? Tan Tan chuckled. I will let you experience happiness. When you grow old, you will be the king of the 3 Stars Divine Clan. How about it? Are you satisfied and happy to die in my hands? That supreme martial artist trembled. Suddenly he flew backward rapidly. He actually abandoned all his subordinates and fled at full speed. The king of the 3 Stars Divine Clan had appeared. This news must be reported to the clan. Even if too many people died for this, it would be worth it. As long as he could send this news back, everything would be worth it. Tan Tan laughed. You have insulted my character and you still want to leave. This supreme martial artist had only fled 400 to 500 feet when he heard a series of smacking sounds coming from behind him. Then, with a whoosh, someone caught up from behind. In a moment of desperation, he shouted, 3 stars. Although he knew that the entrants couldn't hear him, he still wanted to try his best. What if they could hear him? Before he finished speaking, a pressure as heavy as a mountain came down from the sky. Tan Tan flew down. A fierce aura locked onto him. Behind them, all the experts of the Lan family had died an unnatural death. Tan Tan leaped down. This supreme martial artist threw a punch, but his fist was caught. When he tried to kick, his leg was locked. He roared with all his might and was about to explode. But Tan Tan punched him hard in the stomach, scattering his internal energy completely. The next moment, he had already grabbed him by the neck and lifted him up. With a smile, he asked, "Do you want to die knowing the reason?" This supreme martial artist stared at him intently. He hissed, "Please." He really didn't understand why the king of the sacred race would suddenly find trouble with them. There was no reason. You want to capture the woman of the Tribulation Sword Master, so I will kill you. Tan Tan smiled strangely. Let me tell you a big secret. The Tribulation Sword Master is my senior brother. Happy New Year, everyone. G. To be continued. Chapter 1337. Tribulation Sword Master is my senior brother. Not to mention the Lan clan's supreme martial artist who had a strange and shocked expression after hearing this, even Tan Tan himself was shocked by this sentence. All along, the awakening Demon King consciousness had recognized the Tribulation Sword Master as his greatest enemy. But now, when Tan Tan said the words Tribulation Sword Master is my senior brother, it was so natural. That's it. But why did it change? Tan Tan examined himself with some doubts, a thoughtful look on his face. Then, unknowingly with a crack, he broke the supreme martial artist's neck. I understand. The supreme martial artist breathed out his last breath. So that's it. I wonder how he felt before he died. There's no way to verify this. But the strangeness of his mood is inevitable. The Tribulation Sword Master's junior brother is the king of the 3 Stars Divine Clan. And the 3 Stars Divine Clan, after disappearing for tens of thousands of years, has started to appear more and more frequently in the world recently. I wonder what kind of impact it will have on this world? Tan Tan, what's wrong with you? Seeing the strange expression on Tan Tan's face, Xie Danfeng asked worriedly. Nothing. Tan Tan grinned and drove the strange emotion out of his mind. He thought, what's wrong with this? Is it strange? Chu Yang is my senior brother to begin with. Is he no longer my senior martial brother after becoming the master of the Calamity Sword? If that's the case, why do I still feel strange? With this thought, he suddenly felt relieved. In an instant, Tan Tan returned to his original carefree self. He suddenly hugged Xie Danfeng and kissed her hard on the face. Xie Danfeng immediately blushed and pushed him away with all her strength. This is a bit strange. Chu Yang has always been a meticulous person. He has always been the one to plot against others. No one has ever been able to plot against him. Why is it this time? How did the Lan clan find out about such important news? Tan Tan tilted his head and thought for a while. He muttered to himself, how did the Lan clan find out? This is a bit strange. It's quite unfavorable for Chu Yang. Xie Danfeng rolled her eyes. You want to go and take a look? Tan Tan said, I must go and take a look. If I don't go to the Lan clan and find out, I won't feel right. I'll prepare to kill a few people. Let's set a few fires to celebrate my return to the upper 3 heavens. What do you think? Xie Danfeng excitedly said, I'll go with you. Fighting is my favorite. Let me set the fire. Xie Danfeng had always been a fearless person. She had been full of vigor even before she had met Tan Tan. But now, she had become more and more eager to see the world plunged into chaos under Tan Tan's pampering and indulgence. What should we do if we go there? Tan Tan asked. Make trouble first. Xie Danfeng excitedly suggested, when you get there, you should first ask, am I handsome? Of course, you'll be scolded by others. Then, you can create a huge ruckus. After that, you can look for the clan head of the Lan clan and ask for an explanation. Once the clan head of the Lan clan is out, things will be easier. Good idea. Tan Tan clapped his hands. All of a sudden, his face stiffened, and he slowly turned his head around. Why do you want to use my face to provoke him? Do you also think I'm not handsome? Xie Danfeng rolled her eyes. Why are you so handsome in other people's eyes? Being the most handsome in my eyes is enough. In other people, your face. Just treat this sentence of yours as the fuse of war. My face is the fuse of war. Tan Tan was extremely aggrieved and furious. It's all the Lan clan's fault. They actually made you think of such an intolerable idea. Let's go. Let's get even with them. Xie Danfeng excitedly followed, full of interest. But your cultivation is a little low. Tan Tan hesitated slightly. You're here. Xie Danfeng was full of trust. Of course, of course. Tan Tan was very pleased with himself. He nodded repeatedly. He actually stopped asking and even felt proud of himself. I'm so omnipotent in my wife's eyes, huh? It had to be said that this male and female were really a perfect match. When the man wanted to commit murder and arson, not only did the woman not stop him or worry, she even cheerfully came up with ideas, actively participated, and enthusiastically carried them out. The woman's cultivation was not high, but the man was not worried. After being praised, he immediately became full of confidence and firmly believed that he was the best. After a rough plan, the husband and wife went straight to the Lan clan excitedly with an eager and happy mood as if they were on a tour. Of course, Ning Tianya did not know about Tan Tan's ruckus. He would never have thought that the people who came to receive the Grand Duke of the Lan clan had all died on the way. Ning Tianya was destined to make a wasted trip this time. And he was still hurrying on the way, thinking, what if the Lan clan comes? Should I kill them or not? Kill them? How should I kill them? 3 days. Duke Yu was dressed in a green robe. His footsteps were light as he walked out of the bamboo forest in a carefree manner. Behind him was a worried Jun Lulu. Do you have to go? The woman asked softly. Yes, the Tribulation Sword Master is related to the future of our clan. As the only living bloodline of our clan, I have to give an explanation to the elder ancestor. And this time, whether I can help or whether I can find an opportunity is crucial. Otherwise, I won't be able to speak in the future. The man comforted her warmly. Take care. The woman seemed to want to say something, but in the end, it turned into a word of advice. Don't worry. No matter whether this matter succeeds or not, I will come back immediately and spend the rest of my life with you. The man's usual cold and arrogant killing intent disappeared without a trace. There was only a tranquil gentleness on his face. The prosperity of the clan is finally not as good as spending the rest of my life with you. I will try my best. But if it really doesn't work, although I will feel regretful, I will also be relieved. He smiled gently. Flowers bloom and fall in the valley. Who says that they have no regrets in life? I'd rather let other things become a matter of regret than let you and me become a matter of regret. The woman's eyes were bright with happiness. She lowered her head and said softly, I will wait for you to come back. She lowered her head and looked at her stomach, her eyes full of gentleness. The man hugged her waist gently. I'm going. Okay. Duke Yu laughed, his green robe fluttering. He flew into the air and in a flash he was hundreds of feet away. A clear and melodious voice came from afar. I am the king of the 8 barren lands, and I am the king of all rivers and mountains. Don't worry, I have received all the inheritances and opened up my bloodline. Even if there is someone stronger than me, there is no one in this world who can kill me. Wait for me, I will be back soon. I will wait for you. Jun Lulu looked into the distance. There is one thing you don't know. What is waiting for you is not just myself. There is also your child. With your temper. If I tell you, you will definitely not go. You will definitely stay with me. But if you miss this opportunity, you will inevitably regret it for the rest of your life. I would rather you be disappointed after adventuring and return to me with nothing. I don't want you to have a lifetime of regret for me. Gu Duxing looked at his brothers. Everyone was ready to go. Only Mo Tianji was still motionless. He lowered his head and was thinking about something. He carefully went through his plan in his heart again. Every step. How to go, what will happen, how to deal with it, whether it will work. If the other party is tough, what will happen? If the other party has a certain temper, what will happen? If I am a member of a big clan with 10,000 years of accumulation, what kind of mentality will I have, and what will I be most afraid of with this mentality? Just to rush up to the upper 3 heavens, Mo Tianji had prepared hundreds of plans in his heart. Every plan and every possibility flowed through his heart. He only waited until he was sure that no matter how it developed, it would be foolproof. Finally, he stood up and nodded. He said indifferently, start the disguise now. Use the medicine to hide your aura. Then, practice the harsh drill. Whoever reveals a flaw will pretend to be a corpse. GMO and Luo Kudi's faces turned bitter at the same time. Gu Duxing held back his laughter and seriously began to arrange. Mo Tianji began to take out a golden copper coin. His face was solemn as he began to divine. At the same time, he immediately activated the Mastering the World divine technique. He wanted to break through the fog of confusion and ask the heavenly secrets. Although the plan had been set, it was only the wisdom of humans. It was not the planning of the heavenly secrets. Therefore, Mo Tianji wanted to combine the heavenly secrets with the heavenly secrets to create the greatest luck for himself and the others. Once again, he strengthened his plan to enter the upper three heavens with 300% certainty. For Mo Tianji, the more dangerous the matter was, the more he had to plan before acting. The more he had to grasp it. 100% certainty was a little low. Who knew what the heavens would give him? What accidents would happen on the way? 300%. Only then would he be able to eliminate all of these possibilities. Only by having a higher chance of success would he be truly foolproof. Therefore, Mo Tianji's ideal state of certainty was 100% certainty. Mo Tianji's level of caution could be taken as an example. With Gu Duxing's current cultivation as a second-grade sword supremacy, Mo Tianji even prepared medicine for him. In case his mood was affected and he was unable to move, he would be taken advantage of by the other party. Therefore, this medicine was to calm the mind and prevent inner demons. At that time, Gu Duxing's cold and expressionless face was completely distorted by Mo Tianji's worry. That night, the brothers set off in a mighty manner. After Mo Tianji carefully predicted the heavenly secrets, the passage he chose was coincidentally the one guarded by the Lan clan. Because the divination showed that there would be no disasters or difficulties on the way from here. The journey would be smooth and there would be almost no obstacles. Furthermore, the crepe myrtle illuminated the top. Under such a divination, Emononji actually frowned and muttered to himself, "Almost no obstacles means that there will still be obstacles. With obstacles, there will be accidents. With accidents, there will be danger. With danger, there will be a possibility that all our previous efforts will be wasted. Therefore, we still cannot be the least bit careless. We must strive for perfection." Especially GMO and Luo Kudi, who did not hesitate to mute them at the crucial moment. The brothers were on guard as they moved forward. Along the way, everyone was forced by Mo Tianji to transmit messages to him and recite the 10 rules of the heavens that Mo Tianji had personally formulated. The brothers all missed Chu Yang very much. Indeed, under Mo Tianji's strict watch and strict requirements, everyone was too tired and had no joy in life. "Boss, quickly come and save us." That goddamned Mo Tianji even quantified the time we spend eating, drinking, shitting, and dating. This isn't like the daily life of a human. It's just a few steps to the upper three heavens, and it's already 10 rules. Can you imagine anything else? After snatching the monthly votes on the 31st, my spirit continued to be high. I could not sleep at all. I woke up in a daze for 1 or 2 hours. Then I sat in a daze for a while before falling asleep. I was so sleepy that my head was swollen and aching. But I could not sleep even after taking tranquilizers. I tossed and turned until 18 p.m. on the 1st. Then I finally felt sleepy. I quickly lay down and slept until 5:30 p.m. today. I still want to sleep. After posting this, I will continue to sleep. One more thing. On the 4th of January at 8 p.m. on the 426343 Proud World channel, we will celebrate the achievements of our Proud World for the past year. I will deliberately go and shout a few times. This is a good day, 201314. What a good day. I love you all my life. Cough cough. Actually, I am really embarrassed. I will hurry and prepare. When the time comes, I will have to sing until I am hoarse. Therefore, I have been eating golden voices for the past few days. Cough. There is one more thing. Tomorrow is my father's birthday. I will take a day off. May your majesties approve. Thank you. I will not open another chapter. To be continued. Chapter 1338. Chu Yang flew all the way south. He finally knew that many people on the streets were hurrying north to participate in the battle to destroy the Li clan. It turned out that the Dharma Supreme had already issued the order to destroy the Li clan. Chu Yang was of course interested in destroying the Li clan. But he felt that his priority now was to meet his brothers and go to the lower three heavens. As for the Li clan, he would go there when he was free. Chu Yang naturally didn't know that when he set off, many people had already set off and were hurrying on their way. For example, Tan Tan, Duke Wei, Mo Tianji, Gu Duxing and the others. Chu Yang flew. In the afternoon, when the sky was about to turn dark, Chu Yang suddenly realized that on the main road ahead, there was a troop of cavalry coming towards him. At the head of the troop, a horse carriage was speeding towards him. Chu Yang dodged to the side of the road. The troop of cavalry whizzed past. When the horse carriage passed by Chu Yang, the curtain of the carriage was coincidentally opened by a slit. Two pairs of eyes met with Chu Yang's. Both of them looked stunned at the same time. Then they heard an order. Stop! In the troop of the Zhuge clan heading north, Diwu Qingru sat in the horse carriage with a calm expression. He didn't know why the Dharma Supreme wanted him to command, nor did he know what had happened. But he still cherished this opportunity very much. So he came. On the way to the northwest, Diwu Qingru felt a little regretful. Because the tribulation sword fragment had appeared. The heavenly passage had opened. In fact, what Diwu Qingru wanted to do the most was to use this time to carefully analyze every single person who passed through the heavens and find out every single tribulation. He wanted to slowly verify his speculations. That would be the greatest thrill. Diwu Qingru had already made all the preparations. Only by knowing the true identity of tribulation could he raise conditions with the tribulation sword master and stand on equal footing. Regarding this, Diwu Qingru had planned for a long time. But he never expected that the Dharma Supreme would transfer him away from the south with just one order. Traveling day and night to the north to become the commander-in-chief of the 8 super clans and the law enforcement officers. This was equivalent to reaching the heavens in one step. Diwu Qingru was confident that as long as he commanded well, this victory would definitely be a beautiful one. His achievements would definitely be huge. Moreover, it was possible to lay the foundation for the prosperity of the Diwu family. To him, this was also a heaven-sent opportunity. Bear paw and fish. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. However, Diwu Qingru immediately made a choice, to believe in the Dharma Supreme. Because the Dharma Supreme's status was worlds apart from his, the Dharma Supreme had no reason to play tricks on him. All of this was real. However, to him, the judgment tribulation was still a little vague. Moreover, that Calamity Sword Master was definitely not easy to deal with. However, on the Dharma Supreme's side. But it had already been confirmed. Diwu Qingru heaved a long sigh. She subconsciously felt that the carriage was a little stuffy, so she lifted the curtain a little. Who would have thought that as soon as he lifted the curtain, a figure by the roadside would meet his eyes? In that instant, both of them had the same feeling. No way, right? What a coincidence. Where are you going? I'm going to the northwest. Commander-in-Chief of the Allied Forces. What about you? Where are you going? I'll go to the southwest. What for? For fun. The two smiled meaningfully at the same time. Chu Yang smiled. I actually missed the lower 3 heavens. Diwu Qingru nodded. Same here. Looks like there's going to be a battle like this again? Chu Yang tilted his head, somewhat intrigued. I'm afraid it's inevitable. Diwu Qingru smiled warmly. It's a little tiring to fight with you. Chu Yang laughed. So, you'll have a new opponent. Of course, the prerequisite is that you have to succeed in this trip to the northwest. I'm looking forward to my new opponent. Diwu Qingru smiled. The two of them cupped their hands and bade farewell. It's a deal. We'll meet again. Diwu Qingru got into the carriage with a smile and sat down. Suddenly, he felt relaxed and an indescribable joy. The bodyguards around them had been guarding nervously all the way until Chu Yang's figure disappeared into the horizon. Only then did they breathe a sigh of relief. That person just now, that indescribable domineering aura and that sharp sword intent made everyone feel as if they were facing a great enemy. Now that he had finally left, everyone could finally breathe a sigh of relief. In the group, 2 black-robed men exhaled softly and slowly dispersed the cultivation that they had gathered. The bodyguards outside the carriage could faintly hear Wuxia mumbling something in the carriage. They couldn't help but feel a little apprehensive. The luckiest thing in my life is to meet such a talent. To be able to obtain the will of a man, I'll be happy to be buried in the mountains. Wuxia mumbled, if I can use the earth as a chessboard and all living beings as chess pieces, I'll be able to maneuver freely and fight with you. I'll be able to display all that I've learned in this life. At the same time, on the road to the south, Jianghu had a smile on his face. He thought to himself, one can control the heavenly secrets in his hands. One can also be gentle in his conquest. One has a strategy in his mind. One can plan for 10,000 miles. Emotianji, Wuxia, it's up to you. As he thought about it, he became a little excited. The conquest of the upper 3 heavens was finally about to begin. His unexpected meeting with Wuxia was just a few words. But in these few words, Wuxia revealed too much information to him. The commander of the Allied forces in this trip to the northwest. What Allied forces? Why is Wuxia the commander? What's so good about him? Who's the mastermind behind all this? What will Wuxia get from this battle? What will he do after he gets it? Why did he do all this? All these questions were given clear answers to Jianghu in these few words. Jianghu wasn't stupid. He naturally understood everything. But now that Emotianji was here, Jianghu followed the principle of slacking off whenever he could. Of course, he wouldn't stand up and fight with Wuxia for anything. When the time came, it would be Emotianji's turn to have a headache. With this thought, Minister Chu's body became even more relaxed. The next morning, he had already crossed the territory of the Zhuge clan and reached the territory of the Lan clan. He was only dozens of miles away from the headquarters of the Lan clan, Tianlan City. Right at this moment, Jianghu suddenly stopped in his tracks. Because he suddenly saw black smoke billowing in Tianlan City. It had already filled half of the sky. What had happened? Could it be that the Lan clan? Jianghu thought of this. He sped up and rushed over. Tianlan City. The Lan clan. The Lan clan had dominated Tianlan City for 10,000 years. Here, the Lan clan was the master. In the past, no one had ever dared to create any trouble in Tianlan City. Everyone also believed that even in the future, no one would dare to create trouble in Tianlan City. In the morning, a man and a woman followed the surging crowd on the streets in the heart of the city and walked casually to the majestic and lofty gate of the Lan clan that looked like it was going to rule the world. The 2 of them looked around as they walked. Just like that, 2 bumpkins from the countryside suddenly came to the biggest city in the world. It was too much for the eyes to take in. It was so dazzling. The man kept saying, wow, what the heck? But, what the heck? But, what the heck? Such amazement. The woman kept saying, wow, wow, look at this. Wow, look at that. Wow, wow. The 2 warriors guarding the gate of the Lan clan looked at the man and woman with interest. They couldn't help but laugh. They had seen many bumpkins, but it was really their first time seeing bumpkins so openly and without hiding anything. Then, they saw the 2 of them actually sticking their heads out and walking toward the gate of the Lan clan. They couldn't help but be stunned. Could it be that these 2 bumpkins actually wanted to enter the Lan clan to take a look? What is this place? It's so beautiful. The woman said. Let's go in and take a look. The man was in high spirits. He raised his head and pulled the woman into the Lan clan. What the heck? They really wanted to come in. The 2 guards were instantly at a loss. Especially after the man raised his head, the 2 of them saw his face clearly. Instantly, the 2 of them were shocked. So, there really is such an ugly person in this world. Stop. The 2 guards stretched out their hands to stop them. What do you think this is? You think you can enter just because you want to? How dare you? These 2 people were, of course, Tan Tan and Xie Danfeng. Tan Tan raised his head. Why are we not allowed to enter? Didn't a few people go in just now? Why are we not allowed to enter when we're here? Is it because I'm too handsome? Are you afraid that I'll go in and seduce the pretty ladies? Then he made up his mind and said, don't worry. I will definitely not do that. He said it resolutely and decisively. There was even a little regret. It was as if not being able to use his handsome looks to seduce the pretty ladies of the Lan clan was a huge loss to him. The two guards were dumbfounded in an instant. Not only was this guy ugly, his skin was actually so thick. After being stunned for a while, they finally couldn't hold it in anymore and burst into laughter. With your looks, you actually think that you're so handsome? You actually want to seduce pretty ladies? Tan Tan's face darkened. You mean, I'm not good looking? My uncle doesn't love me and my grandmother doesn't love me? The two guards laughed and were overjoyed. Not only that. Your looks are not only unloved but also devoid of conscience. It's intolerable. Tan Tan's face was so gloomy that it was as if water was about to drip out. You said that I look devoid of conscience and intolerable? The two guards nodded their heads vigorously. Suddenly, there was a scream. Tan Tan had already reached out his hand at lightning speed and grabbed his hair. The two heads collided with each other with a bang. He shouted, "You look devoid of conscience. You look intolerable." Then, he threw the two guards who had already fainted and rushed in furiously. I must ask what kind of upbringing this family has. They actually dared to scold me like this? If I don't get an explanation for this, I will slaughter this place. Tan Tan, who had deliberately wanted to cause trouble, finally found a reason to fly into a rage. And this reason was so unbearable for him. If he's ugly, then so be it, but he's actually devoid of conscience. Tan Tan was unable to restrain his anger. He rushed into the main door of the Lan clan like a gust of wind and shouted, "All of you come out. Give me an explanation. Otherwise, I will kill and set fire. 1, 2, 3, alright, since you don't come out, I will set fire." Chapter 1339. Tan Tan's sudden outburst was like the detonation of a bomb in the Lan clan compound. Along the way in, the Lan clan members didn't even have time to react before they saw the main gate of the Lan clan on fire. The crackling sound of burning could be heard very clearly. Bush, 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 bush. Figures from all over the place swiftly flew over. What's happening? Who's so bold? Bastard! What's going on? Someone actually dares to behave atrociously in the Lan clan. Tan Tan had excitedly knocked down more than a dozen people on the other side. He had killed his way in from the direction of the main entrance. One could see a human body spinning and flying in the air as he passed by. They couldn't help but make strange postures in the air. From afar, Master Tan could be heard shouting, "Lan clan! This is too much. This is too much. Is there such a thing in this world? There's no justice in this. Someone in charge of the Lan clan quickly come out. Otherwise, this matter won't be over." The Lan clan supreme martial artists who had just come out were so angry that their noses were crooked. You lit the main gate of the Lan clan on fire and knocked down more than a dozen people along the way. Countless people were injured and injured. How could the Lan clan be unreasonable? In the blink of an eye. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. More than a dozen figures landed at the same time and formed a circle, surrounding Tan Tan, who was striding in with Xie Danfeng. They didn't even greet Tan Tan. Instead, they swept their energy towards him like a hurricane. If it were any other time, these people might have stopped and asked, what exactly was going on? But now, someone had already come knocking on their door and even lit the main gate. Just based on the current situation, it was already an irreconcilable feud. What was there to ask? Just fight directly and reason with your fists. Catch them. Talk about other things. Tan Tan was furious. You're all unreasonable. He didn't stop at all. With a few bangs, the 7 or 8 first-grade supreme martial artists who had just pounced on him flew out with their broken swords. Blood spurted wildly. 7 or 8 blood-colored rainbows were drawn in the air. This time, Tan Tan didn't hold back at all and directly repelled them. 7 or 8 people were all killed in one blow. The whole place suddenly quieted down. Only the fire was burning fiercely. 7 supreme martial artists were killed in one blow. Although they were only first-grade supreme martial artists, this was too frightening. At the very least, a third-grade supreme martial artist wouldn't be able to do so. The faces of the people from the Lan family turned solemn. Who is this weirdo? How did such a person appear out of nowhere? A few of them flew up. Now that things had quieted down, the next step was to negotiate. Naturally, the most important thing was to put out the fire. Tan Tan angrily roared, "Stop! Who told you to put out the fire that I started?" He didn't make a move, but everyone could feel it clearly. With this one sentence, he was going to attack. The entire empty space clearly distorted and solidified for a moment. In that instant, it was so substantial that it could even reflect the sunlight in the sky. The next moment, with a loud bang, the few Lan clan experts who were flying suddenly fell to the ground like stones. Vibrating chi into steel. Everyone's gaze froze. This was the signature move of a middle-grade supreme martial artist. He was able to use the shocking technique of turning chi into steel. Without reaching Jizuan realm cultivation, there was no way he could use it. There was no trickery at all. Moreover, this person did not even pant after using this legendary super kung fu. Obviously, it didn't take much effort. Since that was the case, then he wasn't someone who had just reached Jizuan realm. Level? High level? Or peak level? Thinking of this, everyone's legs started to spin. This time, the person who suddenly appeared to cause trouble for the Lan family was actually a Jizuan realm cultivator? Thinking of this, everyone was greatly shocked. Looking at Tan Tan's ugly face, they instantly felt that he was much more pleasing to the eye. A Jizuan realm cultivator. What did it matter if he was ugly? Just by being handsome, he wouldn't die from being handsome. The fire on the main door was burning more and more fiercely. It had already started to spread to both sides of the courtyard walls. But this time, absolutely no one went to put out the fire. In this world, a Jizuan realm cultivator was equivalent to a demigod. In the absence of other Jizuan realm cultivators, who would dare to go against the words of a Jizuan realm cultivator? Did they want to die? Tan Tan had his hands clasped behind his back. Then he started to walk in a circle under the encirclement of the crowd. His posture and the look in his eyes made him seem like a tyrannical tiger that was patrolling its own mountain forest. And the group he was looking at was a group of monkeys. "Why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you doing anything?" Master Tan shook his head and wagged his tail. "But weren't you all quite impressive just now? You didn't even say a word when you came out and just started fighting. I thought you guys had guts." In the end, I was greatly disappointed, greatly disappointed. The so-called ambition of a person, the strength of character of a martial artist, the kind of courage that doesn't fear anything, dauntlessly moves forward, looks death in the face, laughs proudly in the coffin. Where did all that courage go? Lan Yingfeng, the clan leader of the Lan family, put on a smile that was uglier than crying. He took a step forward. "I'm afraid there are some misunderstandings about today's matter." In the eyes of the Lan family's clan leader, those who had such cultivation were of course all seniors. Even though this person in front of him looked quite young, it was still the same. Who didn't know that supreme martial artists could retain their youth forever? Misunderstandings. Tan Tan panted and sighed again. He said, "You're Shueye? Tell me your name, position, identity." I'll see if you're qualified to talk to me." "I'm Lan Yingfeng, currently the current clan leader of the Lan family." Lan Yingfeng closed his eyes, swallowed his anger and said humbly. His family did have a low-grade supreme martial artist expert. But that was the elder ancestor. Moreover, compared to this person in front of him, it wasn't certain who was better. That was his last trump card. If he could not use it, he couldn't use it. Besides, even if he wanted to use it, he might not be able to. Tan Tan let out a faint and said, "What you mean is, you want to reason with me?" Lan Yingfeng's smile became more and more bitter. "Yes, when I just came in, why didn't you reason with me?" Tan Tan rolled his eyes and said, "Now that you see that I'm stronger than you want to reason with me?" "Since I'm stronger than you, why should I reason with you?" Everyone was speechless. This sentence was really not easy to deal with. "We're stronger than you. Of course, we don't need to reason with you." But when we want to reason with you, you're stronger than us. A very slow voice came and said indifferently, what this distinguished person said is right. Although it's a little hard to listen to, it's indeed the essence of this world. It's reasonable. It's worth a toast to this sentence. Reason? Actually, it will never exist. No matter if it's a supreme martial artist in the heavens or an ordinary person with no cultivation at all, the strong are respected. Among ordinary people, those who have money and power are the strong ones. They cannot reason with ordinary people at all, and can also trample on the rules that ordinary people follow. Although to our eyes these people are as frightening as turtles, however, it's undeniable that these turtles are the reason of the secular world. If a poor person steals 1 or 2 taels of silver, he can be locked up in prison, even to death. However, those who have power and influence use the same way to steal for their whole life, and no one cares. Even if someone cares, it's just a formality. Although it's unfair to everyone, such things happen all the time in the heavens. There are thousands of such things happening all the time. Among martial artists, it's even more unreasonable. Strength is reason. Being unreasonable is the privilege of the strong. There's nothing wrong with admitting this. There was a peaceful smile in this voice. However, I would like to reason with you right now. Tan Tan twisted his neck and said dispassionately, if you want to reason with me, you have to show yourself. You can't reason with me by pretending to be mysterious. That's right. Following a loud laugh, a figure in blue suddenly appeared in midair and walked down step by step, as if there was an invisible staircase for him to step on. This was a man who looked to be in his 30s or 40s. His face was fair without any facial hair, and he had an elegant demeanor. However, there was naturally an imposing aura between his brows. Greetings, Elder Master. Under Lan Yingfeng's lead, the Lan clan members knelt down neatly on the ground. This man was the founder of the Lan clan, Lan Buhui. Forget it, wait at the side. I'm going to reason with this man, so all of you must listen carefully. And also watch carefully. Lan Buhui said dispassionately, you must remember, in the future, when someone directly kicks down the Lan clan's door, all of you must reason with them at the first instant. Otherwise, they won't reason with you. Do you understand? Lan Yingfeng sighed. This matter could actually be discussed. The moment the other party had just entered was the only chance. But everyone had been muddle-headed back then. They didn't think at all that if the other party didn't have a bit of confidence and didn't have a few tricks up his sleeves, how would he dare to barge into the Lan clan and cause trouble like this? Or perhaps they had thought of it, but everyone had been blinded by the glory of 10,000 years. So much so that things had developed to the point where they couldn't back down now. They actually needed the Elder Master to step forward personally to clean up this mess. Sir, may I reason with you? Lan Buhui slowly got down. Standing in front of Tan Tan, he said with a smile. His 2 eyebrows were slanted to his temples, his eyes bright and spirited. Even when he was smiling warmly, he also had a captivating demeanor. Tan Tan gave him a strange smile. It's barely enough. Forget it, I'll reason with all of you. Lan Buhui smiled warmly. Thank you. At the same time, he was secretly alarmed. He actually couldn't see through the cultivation of this man in front of him. Looks like he'll have to deal with him carefully. Tan Tan's heart also jolted. I can't see through the cultivation of this man in front of me. I have to guard against him. Tan Tan had used the 3 Stars Divine Clan's secret technique, so Lan Buhui couldn't see through it. However, the fact that Tan Tan couldn't see through Lan Buhui was a fact. Lan Buhui's cultivation was higher than his. May I ask why you're here? Asked Lan Buhui with a smile. Tan Tan snorted. Suddenly, he reached out a hand and pointed at his own face. Look, am I handsome? Chapter 1340. Look, am I handsome or not? The moment he said that, Lan Buhui was instantly stunned. I was trying to reason with you. Why did it become this problem in the blink of an eye? Take note. Please be more serious. Tan Tan said solemnly, I am trying to reason with you. Lan Buhui said seriously, "Of course you are handsome. It's just that your handsomeness is very profound and ordinary people won't notice it." This sentence was really very profound. It was so profound that someone from the Lan clan actually couldn't help but want to laugh out loud. Although this sentence didn't directly say that he was ugly, the meaning behind it seemed to be absolutely the same. Tan Tan snorted. "What do you mean by, my handsomeness is very profound? Do you mean, I am still very ugly?" Lan Buhui gave him a wry smile. "I thought that I didn't have to explain this sentence. In the study of physiognomy, there is a kind of physiognomy called the physiognomy of creation. One eyebrow pierces the sky and the other pierces the earth. One of your eyebrows has already protruded into your hairline while the other goes straight down. It is precisely this strange physiognomy. How can you say that such a physiognomy is ugly?" Tan Tan perked up. This was the first time he had heard of such a thing. He asked excitedly, "What do you mean?" Lan Buhui nodded and said, "What I mean is that very few people can understand your handsomeness." Tan Tan said furiously, "But when I wanted to come in just now, your gatekeeper said that I looked completely devoid of conscience. What kind of explanation is that? I even brought a female companion. Do you think I still have any face?" Lan Buhui was taken aback. "Just because of this?" Tan Tan was furious. "Just because of this? Isn't this enough?" Lan Buhui stared at him in a daze for a while. Then, his face contorted. He turned to look at the few corpses on the ground, at the 40 to 50 injured people who were being helped up and groaning in the distance, and then at the main gate of the Lan clan that was emitting thick black smoke and blazing fire. Thick black lines suddenly filled his forehead. To think that such a huge incident had occurred just because the guard at the door had called her ugly, and that had led to this. Such a tragedy? Lan Yingfeng and the others around them were also collectively petrified. The way they looked at Tan Tan became more and more respectful. "Great master, you're really my grandpa. Just because someone scolded you for being ugly, you almost slaughtered the Lan clan, one of the dominant clans. Damn, aren't you too fierce?" "So that's how it is." Lan Buhui was rather speechless. "So, your family has to give me an explanation for this." Tan Tan righteously and confidently said, "My self-esteem has been attacked by the people of your clan. You don't know how much damage this has done to me." Lan Buhui took a deep breath. Somewhat swallowing his anger, he said, "I wonder. Sir, what kind of explanation do you want?" This was a critical period. It really wasn't advisable to complicate matters and provoke such a powerful enemy again. After this guy was kicked out of the family. I'll look for a few of my old brothers to ask for this explanation. All of them were low-grade supreme martial artists. He didn't believe that 4 or 5 of them wouldn't be able to deal with one of them. Tan Tan was dumbfounded. He was here to cause trouble for no reason. He was here to cause trouble on purpose. Since when did he think about the conditions? Finally, he flew into a rage out of humiliation and said, "Anyway, it's wrong for you to scold me. This saying, I must demand it. Compensation, you must give it to me. But if you ask me for my conditions, I don't freaking have any. But I want you to come up with your own conditions. If I'm not satisfied with your conditions, I'm going to burn this place to the ground today." He didn't hesitate at all. She was so clearly unreasonable, so blatantly unforgiving. It made Lan Buhui so angry that he almost fainted. He really couldn't tolerate it any longer. When faced with such a person, the softer you were, the harder he would be. Lan Buhui took a few quick breaths. Then he said slowly and heavily, "Since that's the case, I can only..." Right at this moment, a voice rang out from outside the burning door. "What are you still doing inside? Hurry up and come out. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough?" As the voice rang out, a person wearing a golden mask walked in with an awe-inspiring aura. Everyone was taken aback. This person just walked out of the fire slowly, as if he was taking a leisurely stroll. And no one could see through this person's cultivation. That ugly ghost who was still swaggering around a moment ago suddenly let out a dry laugh like a mouse that had seen a cat. "Why is it you?" "I was just thinking, That golden-masked man said coldly yet irritably, "Why isn't it me? It's only been a blink of an eye and you're already here to create trouble. Don't you think there's enough trouble?" Tan Tan said aggrievedly, "I'm not. What's wrong with that?" The man snorted and shouted, "Come back with me. Look at what you've done to his place. I haven't seen you for a few days and your guts have actually grown to this extent." Her. Tan Tan smiled apologetically and laughed dryly. As the golden-masked man advanced, he retreated step by step. In the end, he simply hid behind Xie Danfeng. Everyone felt dizzy. This ugly ghost was already a mid-level supreme martial artist, but after seeing this golden-masked man, he was actually so obedient? In that case, what was the cultivation level of this golden-masked man? At the thought of this, everyone's heart started to beat faster. Even Lan Buhui groaned inwardly. He had really seen a ghost today. With some uneasiness, Xie Danfeng smiled dryly and said, "Cough, this? Big brother." He was also in a moment of desperation. He actually didn't mean anything else. "Really, I promise." The golden-masked man seemed to give this sister-in-law of his a lot of face. He said, "Since sister-in-law is pleading for you, then so be it. Otherwise, I'll let you have a taste of the family discipline." Tan Tan suddenly remembered that his current cultivation level was much higher than this fellow in front of him. He couldn't help but walk out from behind Xie Danfeng. He snorted and said, "Senior brother? I was still afraid of you in the past, but I'm already a mid-level supreme martial artist now. I'm not afraid of you anymore." That golden-masked man was furious. With a leap, he pounced over and grabbed him, punching him left and right. "I'll let you become a mid-level supreme martial artist." A mid-level supreme martial artist is so impressive. So impressive. You're asking for a beating. I dare you to fight back? Tan Tan shouted and begged for mercy. "Spare me. I won't dare to do it again." His eyeballs bounced wildly. This golden-masked man actually beat up a mid-level supreme martial artist to the point where he didn't even dare to fight back. It was too powerful. Then, they saw this golden-masked man pulling that ugly fellow by the ear and dragging him out. As he walked, he said, "I'm really sorry to have disturbed your clan. I'll compensate for your losses." "I'm sorry." Lan Buhui was awed. These two were senior brothers. To think that there was actually such a powerful sect in this world? One mustn't offend such a person. It was better to befriend him. He was just about to say, "You're too kind. What compensation are you talking about?" But then, he was stunned. Then, he felt like he was about to vomit blood, because that golden-masked man threw out an ingot of gold. He said, "I'm really sorry. I'll compensate everyone with this gold. Please accept it. Or even now. We'll meet again someday." Chapter 1341. The members of the Lan clan looked at the shiny piece of 5 taels of gold on the ground, their faces full of expressions. Gold. Apart from worldly figures, where else would gold be used? To a colossus like the Lan clan, gold was practically no different from dirt. Just the burning of the main gate would cost 100,000 taels if only gold was used. Not to mention the dozens of people who were either dead or injured. There were also 7 supreme martial artists who were already dead, and more than 10 others who were also seriously injured. Even tens of millions of purple crystals would definitely not be able to make up for such losses. This fellow actually only threw out 5 taels of gold and even asked the Lan clan to kindly accept it. He even said in a sincere voice, "This matter is now even and we don't owe each other anything." What the heck? These 5 taels of gold of yours are too damn valuable, aren't they? Frost covered Lan Buhui's face as he looked at the shiny piece of gold on the ground. With a wave of his hand, the gold was already in his hands. As if the next moment, the gold was going to turn into liquid gold in his hands and flow down. But then, he suddenly took a deep breath and laughed loudly. "That's right. But I also asked the two of you to remember that from now on, this matter is now even and we don't owe each other anything. The mountains are high and the rivers are long. Until we meet again." Outside the fire, a low chuckle seemed to come, as if a voice was saying faintly, "All right. Elder Master! Lan Yingfeng was so furious that his eyes were about to split open. Even in his dreams, he would never have thought that the Elder Master would be so weak. Lan Buhui held that piece of gold and said heavily, "What are you shouting for? Are you still not convinced?" Lan Yingfeng's face was contorted. "This is too much." Lan Buhui took a deep breath and said, "This is the martial world." Everyone lowered their heads. They panted heavily, the veins on their foreheads popping out. Lan Buhui walked in with his hands behind his back. He said slowly, 10,000 years of peace have already made all of you arrogant to a certain extent. All of you have abused your power and lived a life of luxury. You have already forgotten the essence of this martial world. Before this, the Lan clan had bullied other clans 10 times or 100 times more overboard than what we are doing now. There's already quite a lot of that, right? But all of you have neglected the most important point. If you can treat others this way, others can treat you the same. Could it be that only you are allowed to be unreasonable to others, but you can't suffer any grievances? If that's the case, if the Lan clan perishes in this great tribulation, this old man will not be an exception. Lan Buhui's last sentence had already traveled over from a faraway place. His voice was already very faint. In the future, remember, don't let your ancestors be humiliated because of you. This sentence was extremely heavy. Everyone's faces were filled with shame. Yes, who was Lan Buhui? He was the person who founded the Lan clan, the 10,000-year-old ancestor. He could totally not accept today's humiliation and fight the enemy to the death. Whether he lived or died, he lived up to his heroic name. Moreover, ever since those years ago, Lan Buhui had always been known for his fearlessness in the pugilistic world and his arrogance. This was also known to all. Today, he should have been the first to explode. However, he still chose to endure for the sake of his grandson. Teaching by example is better than words. Lan Buhui's retreat this time was tantamount to doing it for everyone in the Lan clan. The alarm bells were ringing. If the Lan clan could really become more cautious from now on and live up to Lan Buhui's deep intentions, perhaps the outcome would be different? Lan Yingfeng's face was livid, and his lips were trembling. Everyone, did you hear that? You all saw it too, right? The foundation that the Elder Master worked so hard to build is not for us to enjoy, nor is it for us to forget ourselves. If something like this that humiliates the Elder Master happens again in the future, we might as well collectively commit suicide. Everyone's eyes were red. Their nasal voices were heavy. At this moment, everyone was really regretting it. Indeed, they had really been too domineering in the past. Right at this moment, report. Someone rushed over on a fast horse and actually dashed into the Lan clan's main gate through the fire. His clothes were all on fire. He rolled on the ground and extinguished the fire. He was already covered in blisters, but he couldn't care less about this. He knelt down in front of Lan Yingfeng. "Clan Master, urgent news." "What news?" Lan Yingfeng's heart skipped a beat. Tonight, in the latter half of the night, a huge change occurred in the Lan clan's passageway. All the disciples guarding the passageway, from second-grade supreme martial artists to below, are all dead. It is suspected that a strong enemy has come up to the upper 3 heavens from here. This person reported hurriedly. Lan Yingfeng only felt his body shake. There's actually such a thing. When I arrived, I only saw a pile of corpses. This kind of situation is simply unimaginable. Lan Yingfeng twisted his beard and pondered. What kind of situation could cause so many experts to be killed at the same time? If it was someone who came up from the upper 3 heavens, then when did the people of the upper 3 heavens become so powerful? There was a sense of evil in this matter. After I found out about this, I once mustered up my courage and went to the passageway to check it out. But after walking for a while, I found that the passageway was also littered with corpses. The team sent by the clan to the lower 3 heavens is also what? Lan Yingfeng roared. "Say it quickly." He already had an ominous premonition in his heart, but he still held on to a sliver of hope. "They are also all massacred." The team of 135 people, not a single one survived. When that person said this, he kowtowed to the ground and didn't dare to speak anymore. But his mental and physical strength were too exhausted. Finally, he fell to the ground and fainted. Everyone who heard this news was so shocked that they were speechless. Adding up the news from the 3 sources, that was to say, in just one day, the Lan clan lost more than 300 experts. One must know that there were a total of 100 people guarding the passageway. They were divided into 10 groups and took turns to guard. All these years, when had there ever been any negligence? They didn't expect to be wiped out completely today. Moreover, the experts sent to the lower 3 heavens were also killed. Could it be that the tribulation has ascended to heaven? A Lan clan expert said what everyone was thinking in shock. If that's the case, then the strength of this tribulation is much stronger. Compared to the previous ones, it's much stronger. This question was also what everyone was worried about. Clan Master, this matter must be thoroughly investigated. This revenge must be avenged. Even if it's a tribulation, a debt of blood must be paid with blood. An old man whose hair and beard had turned white almost bled from his eyes. This time, the people guarding the passageway were the descendants of this elder's grandchildren. They were all dead, which meant that his branch had no more descendants. How could he not be furious? Send the Lan Xiang team to investigate immediately. Lan Yingfeng was trembling all over. We must find the culprit at all costs. This sentence was worthy of praise. Everyone could tell that he only said to find the culprit. He didn't say what to do. They believed that if it was really a tribulation, the clan master's words would become a long-term plan. After all, they didn't know how Lan Ruo was doing. The elder snorted coldly. He left in a huff. Also, since the people sent to the lower 3 heavens have already been wiped out, the plan for the lower 3 heavens cannot be delayed. Send a team immediately. Great Elder, this time, we can't just send people casually. How about you personally lead the team and head to Iron Cloud in the lower 3 heavens with the 3 high priests? Lan Yingfeng turned and looked at an elder with a steely expression beside him. The Great Elder and the 3 high priests were all 7th grade supreme martial artists who had already surpassed the boundary between immortal and mortal. They were also the majority of the Lan clan's remaining strength. Apart from these 4 people, there were only 2 8th grade supreme martial artists and the elder master Lan Buhui left. With them leading the team, even if a demon appeared in the lower 3 heavens, it definitely wouldn't be a match for the 4 of them. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. After all, in the lower 3 heavens, the Tribulation Sword Master's woman was the most important thing to the Lan clan's survival. Alright, I'll go personally. The Great Elder said calmly, but Clan Master, please come up with a plan as to how we should proceed. If Lan Ruo and the rest have already achieved results, then we can let nature take its course. If the other party has seen through Lan Ruo, then, no matter what means we use, we won't hesitate. Even if we have to destroy the entire Iron Cloud Empire, it doesn't matter. By then, we'll really fall out with the Tribulation Sword Master. Lan Yingfeng sighed heavily. It's a pity that Mei Xian is already dead. Otherwise, if we let her personally appear, things would be much easier. The information she left behind in the past was too general. We only had time to make a move once before the heavens immediately closed. If the information is true, then the Tribulation Sword Master will definitely make a move when the heavens open this time. Great Elder and the rest of you going down this time is the last chance for the Lan clan. Lan Yingfeng said heavily, that's right. The Great Elder's white beard fluttered. He said solemnly, I understand. In the distance, Lan Buhui sighed. Don't forget what I said. Never, ever offend the Tribulation Sword Master. Lan Yingfeng looked up at the sky and didn't speak for a long time. Of course, he knew what the Elder Master meant. But, in these years, they had already offended the Tribulation Sword Master thoroughly. At this moment, even if they wanted to stop, it was already impossible. Lan Ruo succeeded. Otherwise, they were destined to fight to the death. But they didn't know that their enmity with the Tribulation Sword Master was already destined. And Lan Buhui's painstaking efforts for the Lan clan were also destined to go down the drain. In a small tavern in the very remote south, Mo Tianji, Gu Duxing and the rest sat around a table. They had finally made it up. Everyone, including Mo Tianji himself, didn't expect it to be so easy. In their hearts, this was supposed to be a bloody battle where they had to go through a lot of hardships to make it up here. Then, they would heal their wounds and talk about other things. They didn't expect to encounter a field of corpses in the passageway. Then, when they came up, they saw a group of people cleaning up the corpses. Everyone rushed out like a swarm of bees. Mo Tianji didn't even have time to use any of his tricks. Everything was actually over. There were still more than 2,000 kilograms of explosives in the 2 large coffins that he had brought with him. Mo Tianji had spent a lot of effort to get them. He was prepared to detonate them at the critical moment and take advantage of the chaos to escape. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.